My brother died at sea, trying to save my childhood sweetheart. I was 18 that year. I cried myself into a faint, clutching my brother's belongings, while my sweetheart stayed by my side the whole time. He said, "I'll take care of you for the rest of your life, in your brother's place." We got married later, and for 40 years, we weathered life's storms together, hand in hand. It wasn't until the day he was critically ill, holding my hand, that he suddenly broke down in tears. "I'm sorry. Back then, I went there to end my life for love. Your brother shouldn't have saved me." I was stunned. My 40-year marriage was built upon the wrongful death of my brother. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in that summer. This time, I grabbed my brother's arm as he was about to leave. The smell of disinfectant clung to me like a stubborn parasite, seeping into every pore. Xiao lay on the hospital bed, his gaunt hand gripping mine tightly. 2 lines of tears tracing down from his clouded eyes. "Nian, I'm so sorry." He was racked by a violent coughing fit, and the ventilator let out a shrill, piercing alarm. "Back then, I went there to end my life for love. Your brother shouldn't have saved me." My mind went blank with a sudden, deafening buzz. For love, for whom? That Meng Xiu, who was only in his life for a few months during his youth. Then what am I? And what about our 40 years of weathering life's storms together? And my brother's death, what does that count for? A colossal joke, a wronged soul sacrificed for another's love. My heart wrenched in agony, as if crushed by an invisible hand. Before my consciousness sank into darkness, I saw the look of relief and self-satisfaction on Xiao's face. He could finally die in peace, having unburdened himself of the secret he had carried for a lifetime, and I, bearing this cruel truth, descended into hell. Nian, someone was gently shaking me. My eyes struggled open. Outside the window, dense camphor trees blocked the view, and the relentless drone of cicadas grated on my nerves. A thick, humid summer breeze stirred the white curtains, rolling in a wave of stifling heat. This wasn't a hospital. This is my room. I jolted upright and stared at the calendar on the wall. Saturday, August 12th. That date burned into my heart like a red-hot brand. It was today. The day my brother, Gu Yuan, had the accident. With a creak, the door was pushed open. A tall, lanky teenager walked in. He wore a white t-shirt, his hair damp with sweat and plastered to his full forehead. "How did you get so sweaty in your sleep?" He wrung out a damp towel and wiped my face with practiced, gentle motions. "Did you have a bad dream?" It was my brother, alive and well, just 20 years old. My tears broke free in an instant, streaming down my face uncontrollably. I threw myself at him, wrapping my arms tightly around his waist. I buried my face in his t-shirt, which carried the faint, clean scent of soap, and sobbed my heart out. "Brother." Gu Yuan froze, completely thrown off by my sudden emotional outburst. He could only pat my back, over and over, offering clumsy comfort. "Don't cry, Nian, don't cry. I'm right here." It took a long while before I finally began to calm down. Gu Yuan felt my forehead, then touched his own. "No fever. What's going on?" He glanced at his watch and said with some urgency, "I have to go. I'm meeting Xiao at the beach. Will you be okay here alone?" My heart clenched. The beach, find Xiao. Each word felt like a death warrant. Visions from a past life came rushing into my mind. It was this phone call that sent my brother rushing out the door, never to return. I rushed over and, just a second before he could pull it open, clamped my hand desperately onto the cold metal door handle. "Bro, don't go." My voice was hoarse with fear. Gu Yuan turned back and looked at me in surprise. "What's wrong?" I clutched my stomach, doubled over, and a cold sweat instantly broke out on my forehead. This wasn't an act. The thought of him walking into that death trap twisted my guts into knots. The pain so sharp I couldn't breathe. "My stomach hurts. It really hurts." I must have gone deathly pale. Gu Yuan bought it. He immediately closed the door and steadied me, his concern evident. "What's wrong? How did you get a stomachache all of a sudden? Come on, I'm taking you to the hospital." "No way." I grabbed his arm, my nails digging in so hard they nearly pierced his skin. "It's that old problem again. It's just, I hinted vaguely. When an 18-year-old girl says she has a stomachache, it's easy to think it's that time of the month." Gu Yuan's face flushed slightly, and he finally stopped insisting. "Oh, what should we do then? Do you want some hot water?" "No. Just stay with me for a while." I leaned against him, greedily soaking in the warmth of his body and his familiar scent. "Bro, just stay with me a while." Just then, the shrill ring of a telephone shattered the room's quiet. It was Xiao. I was a step quicker than Gu Yuan, dashing over to snatch up the receiver. "Hello, Gu Yuan." where are you? Hurry up, I'm already waiting for you at the beach. Xin Zhao's impatient voice came through the receiver, laced with a note of urgent impatience. My fingers gripping the handset turned white from the force. I can picture him now, standing by the shore where gray waves churn, his face a portrait of tragic resolve, ready to die for love. How pathetic. I drew a breath and, in a voice so cold it felt foreign even to me, spoke clearly into the receiver, my brother's busy. With that, I slammed the phone down with a sharp crack before he could even respond. Gu Yuan stared at me, dumbfounded. Nian, how could you, brother? I cut him off. Lifting my head, my eyes blazing with 40 years of hatred, I don't want you playing with Xin Zhao anymore. 2. The landline at home began ringing again, stubborn and insistent. Gu Yuan instinctively reached to answer it. I pressed down on his hand and shook my head. The phone rang for a long time before finally falling silent. The room returned to a comforting quiet, but the silence didn't last long. Bang, 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 a rapid, forceful pounding on the door erupted, as if trying to break it down. Gu Yuan's brow furrowed. He walked over and opened the door. Standing outside, breathless, was Xin Zhao. He was wearing a faded blue t-shirt, his hair disheveled. When he saw me behind Gu Yuan, his expression instantly shifted from anxious to shocked. Gu Nian, what are you doing home? His gaze swept over me, tinged with scrutiny and displeasure. Didn't you say your brother was busy? His tone was full of accusation, as if I had committed some heinous crime. I stepped out from behind my brother and looked at him coldly. I'd been looking at this face for 40 years. In youth, it was delicate and full of feeling. In old age, refined and gentle. I once thought marrying him was the greatest fortune of my life. Now, it just fills me with utter disgust. What did you want with my brother at the beach? I spoke, my voice utterly devoid of warmth. Xin Zhao's eyes noticeably dodged for a moment. He avoided my gaze, looking instead at Gu Yuan as he tried to force a casual smile. Oh, it's nothing, it's just so hot out. I felt like going for a swim. I almost laughed out loud. I remember clearly, the weather forecast had already issued a high surf warning, prohibiting tourists from entering the water. In my past life, even my brother, who was such a strong swimmer, was swept away by a huge wave while trying to save him, and he, a complete landlubber, wants to go swimming. Going for a swim on a day with a high surf warning. My voice suddenly rose, dripping with sarcasm. Xin Zhao, are you trying to get yourself killed, or are you trying to drag my brother down with you? The words struck the center of the living room like a thunderclap. Xin Zhao's face drained of all color. Turning a deathly pale, he staggered back a step, staring at me in disbelief, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. He probably never imagined that someone as gentle and quiet as me could utter such sharp, venomous words. Gu Yuan's expression shifted. He was no fool. My sister's odd behavior, Xin Zhao's panic, and my own heart-piercing remark, all of it made him sense danger in the air. He turned around, his brow furrowed as he looked sternly at Xin Zhao. Is Nian telling the truth? There's a high surf warning for today. Xin Zhao was completely panicked. He looked at Gu Yuan with a pleading gaze, a watery sheen glistening in his perpetually melancholic eyes. That's his usual trick, playing the victim, acting pitiful, just to fish for sympathy. In my past life, I was fooled by that act of his, time and time again. Yuan, I'm just feeling down and wanted someone to keep me company. His voice was choked with tears, sounding utterly wretched. I really didn't think it through. Oh, you didn't think it through, did you? So just because you're in a bad mood, you get to drag your best friend along to their death. What an astonishing level of selfishness. I won't give him another chance to perform. Is it because Meng Xiu rejected you? I said it calmly, as if stating the simplest of facts. Xin Zhao's choked sobs cut off abruptly. His head snapped up to look at me, his expression one of someone who'd just seen a ghost in broad daylight. Shock, terror, and the humiliated fury of having one's privacy violated twisted together on his face into a grotesque mask. This was the secret he kept buried in the deepest recesses of his heart. It was the great, unattainable love he was prepared to sacrifice his life for, and now, I had spoken of it in the most casual, offhand way, right in front of his best friend. Gu Yuan was completely stunned. He stared in shock at Xin Zhao, whose face was ashen, his gaze shifting from confusion to scrutiny and finally to disappointment. For the first time, he felt a deep-seated doubt about the character of this so-called friend. I knew it then, a rift had formed between us, and it could never be mended. 3. A deathly silence hung in the air. Xin Zhao's face flushed from white to red, then paled to a sickly green. as if a dye shop had opened on his features. That's a lie. He finally found his voice, pointing a finger at my face and shrieking in furious humiliation. Gunyan, you read my diary. I crossed my arms, looking at him as if he were a clown. Read your diary, I scoffed, my voice dripping with contempt. Xiao, you really think too highly of yourself. After all those stupid things you did for Meng Xiu, is there anyone left in the whole school who doesn't know? You were caught red-handed by the dean, serenading her with a guitar under her dormitory window. You maxed out your meal card to buy that art book she liked and lived on plain steamed buns for a whole week. You even filled your textbooks with her name during class. With every word I spoke, Xiao's face grew paler. He thought he was being discreet about these things, but they had long since become a joke in everyone else's eyes. Gu Yuan listened, his expression darkening by the second. He pulled me aside, then turned to Xiao, his tone more serious than I'd ever heard. Xiao, you should head back for now. His voice carried an unyielding, icy distance. You need to cool off. Xiao stared at Gu Yuan in disbelief, at this friend who had always been at his beck and call. Yuan, you, go back. Gu Yuan cut him off, repeating the command. Xiao's lips trembled, and he shot me one last, venomous glare. The sheer malice in that look was like a poison-tipped nail. He turned away in a disheveled panic and fled. With a resounding bang, Gu Yuan slammed the door shut, cutting off the outside world. He leaned against the door, let out a long sigh, then turned to look at me with a complicated expression in his eyes. Nian, tell me the truth, what on earth is going on? I looked at him, my only family in this world. I couldn't tell him something as bizarre as being reborn. I couldn't just come out and say Xiao was a lovelorn executioner on a suicide mission. That would only make him think I was being unreasonable. I chose a more roundabout and ultimately more effective approach. Bro, has Xiao been acting strange lately? Instead of answering, I posed a leading question. Does he often say strange, unsettling things to you? Things like life isn't worth living? Gu Yuan's pupils contracted slightly. Clearly, I had hit the mark. Seizing the moment, I pressed my advantage, laying out for him, one by one and as objectively as I could, all those chilling details from my past life that I had once overlooked. For Meng Xiu, he would argue with his parents, skip class, and do every crazy, out-of-line thing imaginable. Bro, don't you think it's terrifying for one person's emotions to be completely controlled by another? Today, just because he got rejected, he wanted to jump into the sea and even tried to take you with him. If, and I mean if, something really happened to you, do you think he'd even feel guilty? Perhaps, but it's more likely he'd think that being a casualty of your grand romance was an honor. My words were cruel, but every one of them was true. Gu Yuan fell silent. He sat on the sofa, his hands buried in his hair, his shoulders slumping slightly. He might be recalling all of Xiao's recent odd behavior, or perhaps he was just shaken by the thought of what could have been. If I hadn't stopped him today, who knows what would have happened. After a long while, he looked up, his eyes slightly bloodshot, his voice hoarse. I understand. He looked at me with a seriousness I had never seen before. Nian, don't worry. From now on, I won't have anything to do with him anymore. Hearing those words, the boulder that had been hanging over my heart for 40 years finally settled. I had succeeded. I succeeded in driving a wedge between my brother and that murderer before the tragedy could unfold. That night, I lay in bed, utterly unable to sleep. The cicadas outside the window droned on, as grating as ever, like the wailing of countless restless souls. I had a dream. In my dream, I was transported back to my past life. I held my brother's cold, seawater-swollen body, weeping with a heart-wrenching grief. Xiao stood beside me, his face etched with guilt, and said, Nian, I'm so sorry. From now on, I'll take care of you. I jolted awake from the dream, my body drenched in cold sweat. Moonlight streamed in through the window, cool as water. I turned my head and saw a sliver of warm light spilling from under the door of the next room. My brother was still there. That was good. My fists clenched. Xiao, Meng Xiu, in this lifetime, I won't let any of you lay a finger on my brother again. The game has only just begun. The next day was Monday. Xiao cornered me at the school gate. He looked haggard, as if he'd aged overnight, with dark circles under his eyes and a rough stubble, like a plant withered by frost. The moment he saw me, he rushed over, his face straining to show a look of remorse and deep affection. Nian, I'm so sorry. He blocked my path, his voice hoarse. I was too impulsive yesterday. I said a lot of nonsense. Please don't take it to heart. A wave of profound disgust churned inside me, yet my face remained a perfect, impassive mask. I didn't even glance his way. Simply stepping around him and continuing toward the academic building, my utter disregard clearly cut him deeper than any insult could. He froze in place, his expression locked in a rigid stillness. I could feel his venomous gaze, like thorns pricking into my back. I didn't care. This little scene was just the appetizer. After school in the afternoon, I had just gotten home when I saw two uninvited guests sitting in the living room. She was acting as if nothing had happened yesterday. I withdrew my hand and uttered a flat "Uncle, Auntie, Mrs." Shin's smile froze for a moment before returning to its natural state. She sat back down on the sofa, sighed, and began her sarcastic, theatrical performance. "Oh, kids these days, they just overthink everything. Our Xiao grew up with you too, Yuan and Nian, like siblings. You've always been so close. Over such a trivial thing, Nian. How could you say those things to your brother? Now Xiao and Yuan aren't even speaking to each other." As she spoke, she kept glancing at me out of the corner of her eye. "Kids have their squabbles, but they usually sort it out once they talk. Making such a big deal out of it just hurts the relationship." She blamed everything on me for making a mountain out of a molehill and stirring up trouble, trying to use their seniority to pressure me into admitting I was wrong. "Fine. If you want to escalate this, then I'm ready to see it through to the end." I walked up to them and looked calmly at Shin's mother. "Auntie, I'm not making a mountain out of a molehill." My voice wasn't loud, but it was perfectly clear. "I just told my brother in advance what Shin Xiao was planning to do. He intends to die for love." The moment I uttered those 4 words, I saw the color drain from Mr. and Mrs. Shin's faces. They clearly already knew about it. I didn't give them a chance to explain. Pressing on with aggressive questions, "Auntie, I just want to ask you one thing. If yesterday, I hadn't stopped my brother, if my brother had died in the sea trying to save your precious son who was trying to kill himself for love." 5. Shin Zhao's reputation plummeted, and the other protagonist finally couldn't sit still any longer. Meng Xiu. She appeared before me one afternoon. But standing before her now was a goon Yen who had lived 2 lifetimes and seen the worst of human nature. I watched her pitiful performance, my heart utterly unmoved, and I even felt a slight urge to laugh. "Are you finished?" I asked calmly. 06. 07. She was dressed to the nines today, wearing what looked like an expensive dress. With her makeup flawlessly applied, she cleared her throat, a look of profound distress on her face, and began to address the room. "Teachers, parents, I apologize for taking a moment of your time today, but I need to speak from the heart. Our Xiao has always been a model student, both in character and academics, but this semester, his grades have plummeted." She sighed, her gaze drifting almost imperceptibly in my direction. "Why?" "Because the school environment these days is truly worrying. Some children, young as they are, have devious minds. They don't focus on their studies. Instead getting up to all sorts of nonsense every day and leading other students astray." Her words were laced with insinuation, but many of the parents present, having heard about the conflict between the Shin family and ours, turned to look at me with searching eyes. This was precisely the effect Mrs. Shin wanted. She intended to use the public forum of the parent-teacher conference to twist the truth, painting her son as the victim and casting my family as the villains, corrupting the school's atmosphere. She grew more and more impassioned as she spoke, as if she were the very embodiment of justice. Just as her performance reached its peak, I stood up. The entire classroom fell silent in an instant, with every pair of eyes fixed on me. First, I bowed deeply towards the teachers on the stage and all the parents in attendance. "To all the teachers and parents, I am sorry. Due to some personal conflicts between my family and Shin Zhao's family, I have taken up your valuable time. I apologize to everyone." My humble and sincere attitude immediately won the sympathy of some parents. Mrs. Shin's expression darkened. Then, I shifted the focus of my words. "However, there are some matters I must clarify." I pulled a thick stack of papers from my school bag. "Those are copies of all the receipts and documents I spent a whole month collecting and organizing." I held up the top sheet, my voice clear and loud enough for everyone in the classroom to hear. 3 months ago, Shin Xiao used the 5,000 yuan his mother, this lady right here, gave him for tutoring, to buy an imported camera worth 3,000 yuan for Meng Xiu. The room erupted in an uproar. Mrs. Shin's face went deathly pale. I didn't stop. 2 months ago, Shin Xiao stole 2,000 yuan from his family to buy a limited edition necklace for his classmate, Meng Xiu. 1 month ago. Xiao lied to his father, saying the school was organizing a summer camp to get 1,500 yuan to buy a pair of brand-name sneakers for Meng Xiu. I read them out, one by one, with chilling calm. Each item was backed by clear receipts, even screenshots of Xiao flaunting them on social media. The room fell deathly silent, with only my voice echoing through it. The faces of Shin's parents cycled through a spectrum of colors, from pale white to flushed red to a purplish liver hue. Before finally settling into an ashen gray, the parents of Meng Xiu, seated not far away, also looked utterly appalled. They probably never knew that their innocent daughter had accepted so many expensive gifts from others. After reading the final item, I placed the stack of photocopies on the lectern. I turned around to face everyone, my gaze finally settling on the contorted faces of Mr. and Mrs. Shin. I don't know, a person who would throw their life away for so-called love. A guy who can shamelessly steal his parents' hard-earned money to please someone else. Is he really someone you can rely on, someone worth being with? There was a note of grief and indignation in my voice. All I know is this: my brother should not, and must not, throw his life away for someone so utterly selfish. With that, I bowed deeply once more and took my seat. A deathly silence fell over the entire venue. A few seconds later, a wave of hushed whispers erupted. Every gaze, sharp as a blade, shot toward the Shin parents, who had gone completely limp in their seats. I knew it then. The Shin family had become the biggest laughingstock in this small town. 8. The parent-teacher meeting was the start of the whole farce. I heard that after that day, the Shen and Meng families got into a huge, heated argument at the school. The Shin family demanded that the Meng family return all the expensive gifts Xiao had given. The Meng family naturally refused, flatly denying they had ever received these items. The two families tore off all pretense of cordiality, turning from longtime neighbors into bitter enemies. Xiao's fate was a foregone conclusion. His father, a man who valued face above all else, beat him half to death with a leather belt, then locked him in the house, forbidding him from leaving. Meng Xiu wasn't having an easy time of it either. Confined to her home by her parents, she was said to be crying her eyes out every day. The world was finally, utterly quiet. Gu Yuan looked at me, his expression complex. This was probably the first time he had witnessed my methods. Beyond the shock, there was mostly heartache. He pulled me into his embrace, gently patting my back. Nian Nian, it's all over now. I know, Big Brother knows you must have suffered a terrible injustice to be like this. I buried my face in the warmth of his chest and nodded. Yes, a grievance of the highest order, so immense it could never be settled in a lifetime. The bond between the brother and sister grew even closer through this turmoil. Gu Yuan threw himself entirely into his studies, drawing on my memories from a past life. I outlined key review topics and potential exam questions for him. His grades improved by leaps and bounds, earning him a new level of respect even from his cram school teachers. During the summer break, I took on a tutoring job, earning some money while helping my older brother study. Life was peaceful and fulfilling. It wasn't until that evening, as I was leaving my student's home, that I saw someone I never expected. Xiao. He was gaunt, almost unrecognizable, with sunken eyes and hair like a tangle of dry straw. He looked utterly haggard, like a vagrant. When he saw me, it was as if he'd spotted a lifeline. He stumbled and staggered his way over. Then, with a heavy thud, he dropped to his knees before me. Curious glances from passers-by began to gather around us. Nian Nian. Clutching the hem of my trousers, he looked up with a haggard face, tears streaming down his cheeks. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I've come to realize that you're the only person in this world who's ever truly been good to me. I was a fool. I must have been out of my mind to ever fall for a woman like Meng Xiu. You've done so much for me. I know you still care about me. He rambled on with his confessions, wallowing in his own self-pity. He actually thought that all my elaborate schemes were driven not by hatred, but by love, that I did it all in such a drastic way just to make him come back to me. What a laughable, and utterly pathetic, train of thought. I watched him in silence, as if he were a pile of foul-smelling garbage. Only after he finished speaking did I slowly begin, my voice unnervingly calm. Xiao, I'm not doing any of this because I still love you. I paused, then told him clearly, word by word, simply because you deserve to die, and my brother did not. The expression on his face instantly froze, the light of hope in his eyes dimmed, fading bit by bit until it was extinguished, leaving behind only a dull, lifeless gray. I pulled my leg free, turned, and walked away without a single glance back. I knew it then, in that moment, I had finally and completely shattered his last, most pitiful delusion. 9. My final words completely shattered Xiao. I heard he was in a daze and was taken by his family to see a psychologist. Xiao, too, couldn't stay at the school due to her ruined reputation. Her parents hastily arranged a transfer, and she left the city. Both instigators received the punishment they deserved. But I knew that wasn't enough. What I wanted was for them to live in the shadow of this for the rest of their lives, with no escape. I anonymously mailed the recording of that conversation between Xiao and her best friend to her new school. I'm sure the school administration, once they learn of her glorious deeds, will give her some special attention. I spent the entire night adapting Xiao's story of dying for love into a short story. I changed the real names and locations, but many of the details were such that anyone in the know would immediately recognize who the real-life inspiration was. I published this story on the most popular online forum at the time. Just as expected, this dramatic and ironic tale quickly sparked a massive reaction. The post was pushed to the top of the forum, with countless netizens commenting below, lambasting the selfish and cowardly male protagonist in the story. This incident became an invisible brand, forever seared into Xiao's life. No matter where he goes in the future, this indelible stain will follow him like a shadow. After completing all this, the hatred that had festered in my heart for 40 years finally dissipated completely. I poured all my energy into building a new life for my brother and me. I stopped caring about what happened to those people. They weren't worth another thought. With my help and his own hard work, my brother's grades improved by leaps and bounds, and he consistently ranked at the top of every mock exam. As for me, drawing on the knowledge from 2 lifetimes and a maturity far beyond my years, I navigated my studies with effortless ease. In my final year of high school, I secured a direct admission spot to a top-tier university in the country. This was thanks to winning first prize in a national essay competition and my consistently outstanding academic record. The day the news arrived, the weather was exceptionally fine. Sunlight streamed through the window, spilling onto the desk and casting a golden sheen over everything. I glanced at my older brother beside me, who was frowning in deep concentration over the final math problem. His earnest profile, bathed in sunlight, looked so warm and genuine. Finally, beyond my control, the corners of my mouth lifted into the first truly heartfelt, relaxed smile since my rebirth. It was wonderful. Everything was starting anew. A year later, the National College Entrance Exam results were released. Living up to everyone's expectations, Gu Yuan achieved outstanding scores and was admitted to the prestigious university he had always dreamed of. The two of us, brother and sister, left our hometown, a place burdened with too many painful memories, and headed for the bustling metropolis. University life unfolded before us like a brand new canvas. Freed from the shadows of his past, Gu Yuan became much more outgoing and self-assured. He thrived in his chosen major, joined the university basketball team, and became that radiant young man pouring his heart out on the court. As for me, armed with abilities and perspective far beyond my peers, I quickly stood out in the university's sea of talent, leveraging the business acumen from my past life and the seed capital I had saved up over the years. I began experimenting with some low-cost startup ventures, starting with a campus print shop and later moving to an online tutoring platform. My business grew like a snowball, getting bigger and bigger. In his sophomore year, Gu Yuan fell in love. The girl's name was Su Wei, the top student in their college, a kind and generous young woman. She didn't look down on our modest family background, nor did she mind Gu Yuan's somewhat introverted nature. Her affection for my brother was genuine. I was truly happy for my brother. But the shadows from my past life kept me on my guard. I seized an opportunity to meet Su Wei alone. Conducting a well-intentioned assessment of her, I asked her a lot of pointed questions, about the future, about family, and about her feelings for my brother. Su Wei showed not a trace of fear or displeasure. She answered all my questions with complete composure, her gaze clear and her attitude sincere. Finally, she looked at me and said earnestly, "Gun Yan, I know how much you love your brother. Don't worry, I will love and cherish him just as you do." At that moment, a weight lifted from my heart. My brother has finally found his own true happiness. Life is back on track, and everything is filled with sunshine and hope. We occasionally hear news about our hometown from our parents' phone calls. Because of Xiao's scandal, the Xin family could never hold their heads high in that small town. Their business plummeted, and the family fortunes gradually declined. As for Xiao himself, It seemed he never truly recovered from the blow he suffered back then. Hearing this, I felt nothing, not a single ripple of emotion. Those people, those events, are like dust from a bygone century, utterly unworthy of occupying a single one of my thoughts. I'm more focused on the present, on my studies and my career. I'm going to live a life so extraordinary. The Gun Yen of my past life, trapped in a marriage, could never have imagined it. 11. By the time I graduated, the studio I founded had already made a name for itself in the industry. I turned down offers from all the major corporations to focus on building my own venture. Gu Yuan and Su Wei's relationship culminated in marriage. They got their license right after graduation and are planning an intimate wedding. Our parents back home are over the moon, seeing how successful both their children have become. They can't stop singing our praises to everyone they meet. Life feels so wonderful. It's almost like a dream. One day, at an industry networking event, I unexpectedly ran into someone, Meng Xiu. She had changed her name to Meng Fei. With her immaculate makeup and professional suit, she was doing her best to play the part of a city office worker. Yet, the moment she saw me, a look of profound fear flashed in her eyes, impossible to suppress. It was that primal, bone-deep instinct to prey in the presence of a predator. She immediately lowered her head, pretending not to know me, and hurriedly disappeared into the crowd with her glass in hand. I stood there, watching her flustered figure retreat, and didn't even bother to step forward for a greeting. To me now, she is nothing but an insignificant passerby, a speck of dust not worth a second thought. Exposing her, humiliating her, it's all meaningless now. Because we no longer inhabit the same world, this complete indifference and disregard, I believe, will humiliate her more than any revenge ever could. She will live in perpetual fear, terrified that one day I might reappear and tear apart the facade she's built. As for me, I had already left her far behind. After that networking event, I met someone. He was one of the event organizers, a mature, steady man who admired my talent and drive. He pursued me with great fervor. He wasn't a show-off like Xiao, nor was he as slick and insincere as my other suitors. His affection was open, genuine, and full of respect. Faced with these feelings, I hesitated. The misery of my past life, 40 years of it, left me with an instinctive aversion to marriage and love. Gu Yuan said to me, "Nian Nian, don't let one piece of trash make you give up on the whole forest. Go on, give it a try. I just want you to be happy." That night, I thought about it for a long time. I can't spend the rest of my life living in the shadow of the past. I deserve a healthy, equal, and beautiful relationship, so I took a tentative step towards him. 12. Gu Yuan and Su Wei's wedding was held on a crisp, clear autumn day. The wedding venue was decorated with such warmth and romance. I watched as my brother, in his sharp suit, led Su Wei in her white gown step by step towards their future happiness. My eyes welled up with tears. After the ceremony, Gu Yuan came over and gave me a tight, heartfelt hug. He whispered in my ear, his voice trembling slightly, "Nian Nian, thank you. Some things are better left unsaid." I hugged him back, genuinely happy for him. My career flourished, and I became a rising star in the industry, a well-known young entrepreneur. My relationship with that man was also progressing very smoothly. He understood my past, empathized with my experiences, and with his maturity and acceptance, gave me a sense of security I had never known before. Together, we were partners fighting side by side, and a safe harbor for each other to rely on. A few years later, I returned to my hometown for a project. I happened to hear about Xinjiao's recent situation. He never married, never held down a proper job, and has been drifting through life, relying on his parents for support. They say his mental state is still unstable, and he's often seen sitting alone by the roadside, muttering to himself. Some have overheard him say, "If Gun Yen hadn't been so cruel back then, would my life have turned out differently?" Hearing this, I could only respond with a wry smile. He will never understand that his fate was sealed the moment he decided to drag my brother to his death. Before leaving my hometown, I took my family to the seaside. It was the very sea my brother had never set foot on in his past life, yet the one that nearly claimed it. The sea breeze brushed against my cheeks, carrying a briny, damp scent. The azure sea shimmered under the sunlight, beautiful and serene. The tragedy has been rewritten, a new beginning has long since commenced. I closed my eyes, and in my heart, I softly said to my former self, the one who had struggled for 40 years in pain and deceit, "You've been through so much. Now, you may rest in peace." Story 2. I scored 605 on the college entrance exam, but but my boyfriend tampered with my application, landing me in a second-tier university, after taking everything precious from me. He casually said he found girls like me who lacked self-respect disgusting. I drowned by accident, and my spirit hovered in the air. Witnessing 3 months of absurd drama, my grandmother, who refused to pay my tuition, pocketed 100,000 in compensation from the school. The cheating ex who got guaranteed grad school admission, woke up to find myself back in senior year. That haunting question echoes in my mind. You could have made it to Tsinghua or Peking University, why didn't you? Damn right, why? How is this fair? Clenching my fists. This time, no one will crush my dreams. Dark transformation in progress. Only to get cornered by the school bully. How the hell did I get 3 answers for this problem? Teach me now. 1. 3 months after drowning, I was reborn. I opened my eyes to find myself back in my senior year classroom, my previous life. I scored 605 on the college entrance exam, but my boyfriend tampered with my application, changing my guaranteed spot at a top-tier university to a local second-rate college. When I received the admission letter, I was shaking with rage. I tentatively asked Grandma about repeating the year, only to be met with her jabbing finger and furious scolding. Girls are nothing but money pits. You turned down the betrothal gifts for school, and now you want to quit. You'll go get engaged today. With no other choice, I enrolled in a second-tier college, the same one my boyfriend got into, in my junior year. I foolishly believed my boyfriend's empty promise about taking our first love all the way to marriage, and gave him everything precious I had. He casually sneered, Xiao, girls like you with no self-respect are downright disgusting. Then he turned around and confessed to the department's beauty queen with theatrical solemnity, real conquest, dragging her off that pedestal and stomping on her. God damn, that's the ultimate rush. Seeing my boyfriend's bragging post online shattered me completely in that moment. Sobbing uncontrollably, I stumbled and fell into the school's artificial lake. Submerged in water, unable to breathe, I couldn't even muster the strength to struggle. When consciousness returned, I found my body semi-transparent, floating mid-air. Looks like he's dead. Guess we'll just wait for the Grim Reaper to collect him. Little did we know, while waiting around, we'd be treated to quite the spectacle first. The moment Grandma reached the school gate, she popped a heart attack pill, sobbing as she pulled a protest banner from her cloth bag. Give me back my precious granddaughter's life. In the end, we took the 100K compensation and went home with my younger brother, completely satisfied. My boyfriend was sobbing uncontrollably, telling everyone I was his first love, gentle and quiet, never the type to take my own life. He swore to get to the bottom of it. The school administration eventually promised him guaranteed grad school admission, so he happily took the department's prettiest girl to a hotel. Only me, just me, floating mid-air. Watching their performance, the crowd dispersing, then being swiftly forgotten. Oh wait, there's one more. Every day by the lake, finishing a whole cigarette, never failing to mutter fucking moron before leaving. What the hell? I thought I'd keep drifting like this forever, had even mapped out a 5-year plan, when suddenly, life shoved me hard. It felt like being face-planted into sand. Pressure crashed over me, my chest tightened, leaving me gasping for air. When I blinked awake, our balding homeroom teacher was hyping himself up at the podium. Class, this is your final semester of senior year. The moment of truth is here. Whoa, I've been reborn, too. In the silent classroom, my breathing sounded unnaturally loud. Xiao, there's no need to be this nervous. You're the top student in our grade. Getting into a 211 university is well within your reach. The homeroom teacher didn't expect such an intense reaction and ended up comforting her instead. A snicker erupted from the back of the classroom. Mr. Son, what Xiao fears isn't failing the exam. She deliberately drew out her words, that she won't be able to sell her Gaokao results. The remark sent the entire class into fits of laughter. My temples were still throbbing as I kept my eyes shut, too drained to lift my head. That voice, I'd recognize it anywhere. Zhang Ting. For all 3 years of high school, she never stopped spreading that rumor about me being a school slut. I ranked 3rd citywide in the high school entrance exams, securing my spot at Municipal No. 1 High. When people congratulated her, Grandma initially waved them off impatiently, muttering, "What's the use of a girl doing well in exams? Marrying well is what really matters." But after a few phone calls, her perspective broadened, and she began gleefully comparing offers like a shrewd merchant. She eventually negotiated a savvy deal for 50,000 yuan, effectively selling me to No. 10 high school by forcing me to change my application. The school administrators wept with joy, exclaiming, "In 3 years, we'll finally produce a Tier 1 university candidate, no, a 211 project graduate." I'm completely numb to it, but Grandma was over the moon, bought a gaming console for my little brother, installed a big screen TV at home, then patted the bank card in my pocket with a smile. "This is for my precious grandson's college fund." Of course, even though my brother only ended up going to a vocational school, Grandma kept telling everyone that sending girls to school was just to earn tuition money for the boys. Soon every middle and high school in the city knew the girl who ranked third in the entrance exams chose some bottom-tier school just for 50 grand. I became the butt of jokes for 3 straight years because of it. I've been swallowing my pride for 3 years, but unfortunately, I'm no longer the old Zhou Xiao Xiao. Now I'm Zhou, the ghost queen of a university. Xiao Xiao. Everyone said this school was haunted, but I never believed it until I became a ghost myself, on Campus A. Even the cliques among ghosts outnumber those of the living. During those 3 months, I got beaten up daily as the newbie specter, but while the living can be beaten to death, the dead can't be pummeled back to life. Just left howling in pain, after weeks of taking hits, I finally snapped and fought back, discovering an unexpected talent for brawling. With my STEM background, concepts like leverage, torque, airflow, pressure, and electromagnetic fields became surprisingly handy when brawling with spirits. Before my rebirth, I was rallying my crew to establish our own turf, aiming to dominate a university spirit world within 5 years, but now, my empire building got cut short by this untimely reincarnation. I may never become the underworld kingpin of a university spirit realm, but facing my old friends again. I'm no longer the timid pushover I used to be. I cleared my throat and spoke deliberately. "At least I'm selling results, unlike some people who sell themselves." In the back row, Zhang Ting froze for a second before springing to her feet. "Who are you talking about?" "Whoever stands up is who I mean. Don't you dare make baseless accusations. Isn't it you who gets a boyfriend whenever you can't afford new shoes?" I turned and gave her a composed smile. For 3 years in high school, I bit my tongue. But that doesn't mean I didn't know all the gossip. Zhang Ting's face flushed and paled alternately, her lips trembling with rage. "I did no such thing." "That's right, she didn't." "Zhou Xiao Xiao, stop slandering decent people." Up front, Zhang Ting's girlfriends were getting worked up too. I gave her a glance but couldn't be bothered to engage. I just kept telling Zhang Ting, "Stop wasting your time picking fights with me. You'd better keep an eye on your little friend. Don't be the fool who gets played while laughing it off." If I remember right, that friend of hers ended up skipping the college entrance exams altogether. A year later, she was holding a baby at her wedding, to Zhang Ting's current boyfriend. Funny how getting married and having kids right after graduation somehow counts as a life path at this high school. Zhang Ting scanned the classroom, her face burning with humiliation. After all her trash talking about others being promiscuous, she'd been exposed as the real hypocrite. She grabbed the nearest water glass and hurled it straight at me. I dodged sideways just in time. The glass struck her best friend square on the forehead, and blood instantly gushed out. The classroom erupted into chaos. I sat perfectly still, save for a single drop of blood splattering onto the back of my hand. That warm sensation finally gave tangible meaning to the word rebirth. I slowly raised my head. Amidst the chaos diagonally behind me, Jang Yu leaned against the wall with an amused smirk. He didn't even bother to check if I was hurt. Not exactly boyfriend material. It suddenly dawned on me. Right, I wasn't reborn just to engage in petty arguments. I'm here to fulfill unfinished dreams, and make those who once feasted on my corpse pay the price. 3. Zhang Ting's friend was sent to the infirmary while Zhang Ting herself got dragged to the dean's office. The commotion continued as I leafed through the test papers spread on the desk, most of which were already completed. Having studied math at University A in my past life while preparing for grad school, I found this high school seniors exam surprisingly easier than expected. Picked up the pen, circled a mistake, and corrected it. Jiang Yu finally walked over, effortlessly snatched the pen from my hand, tossed it aside, then grabbed the test paper, ripping it in half with a tear. "Screw this test, come game with me at the internet cafe," he said, pausing when he met my icy glare. Right. I'd always found Jiang Yu rather puzzling. In this so-called elite class of 10th high, we were essentially the top students, the best of a mediocre bunch. Aside from those planning to work or marry right after graduation, some still hoped to push themselves for college entrance exams. Jiang Yu was one of them. Unfortunately, He had poor test-taking nerves, while his regular scores met top-tier university standards. He'd always choke during major exams. During the final joint exam of senior year, he failed both math and science sections, and only completed half of his Chinese essay. From that point on, his confidence completely shattered. I absolutely detest exams and test papers, can't even stand seeing me work on them. In my past life, I thought he was just in a bad mood, but when I saw his smug post, dragging her off her pedestal, it all clicked. Some maggots, trapped in their own filth, will drag others down just to have something to trample on. The closer you are to him, the less you're allowed to stand taller. The glance I shot at Jang Yu carried unmistakable hatred and revulsion. The icy glare honed from battling demons must have been terrifying. Exclusive contact pushpin WeChat, QQID 1797328031. He visibly shuddered. How had I never noticed Jang Yu was such a coward before? I nearly burst out laughing, but I held back. How to get back at a scumbag? Give him a taste of his own medicine. I closed my eyes briefly, then reopened them with the same gaze I'd given him back in high school. Innocence, joy, attachment. Sure. I compliantly rose to my feet. Jang Yu visibly relaxed, thinking I was still the same old Xiao. The internet cafe is near the school. This neighborhood has no 10 high and no 13 high, both notorious for being lousy schools, so the internet cafes were packed right after the semester started. As we walked in, we ran into some kids from no 13 high. I'd just sat down next to Jang Yu and put away my phone when he shot me a disapproving look. Aren't you going to get me lunch? It's been so long that I've completely forgotten. Even though we could have ordered delivery, Jang Yu always enjoyed bossing me around to fetch his meals. The round trip from the internet cafe to his favorite diner took a good half hour on foot. No scallions, ginger, or garlic, but extra cilantro. Right, I struggled to recall. He shot me a dull look before turning back to the screen, initiating the parachute drop. His gaze never returned to me. In my past life, this would have crushed me, but now, all I see is an opportunity. At the bar by the entrance, I hastily paid the bill and bumped into someone. You blind or what? How dare you mess with our boss? Shouted a lanky guy who looked like a bamboo pole, but my eyes locked onto the person I'd collided with. Suzhua, the notorious school bully from 10th high, in my past life. Though we'd crossed paths in high school, I always kept my distance. We never interacted. Our first real conversation happened at University A. On registration day, he summoned me outside the dorm and stood there for ages, staring straight at me. You actually came to this kind of school too, dumbass. After a long pause, he dropped this baffling remark and left. For 3 months after my death, it was him, Suzhua, who showed up without fail every day by the lake to call me a dumbass. What a lunatic. When I returned to senior year and met Suzhua, I realized he's the real dumbass. Choosing to be a school bully already screams low IQ. His lackeys had hair dyed like Christmas lights, a rainbow mess. That beanpole with green hair acted so cocky, practically begging people to underestimate their brain cells. Suzhua wasn't much better himself. His medium-length hair was dyed silver gray and tied back, but his sharp, delicate features just barely pulled off the look. Though the oversized logo hoodie and ripped jeans were way too edgy for mainstream taste, Xiao, Suzhua drawled, leaning lazily against the bar with an unreadable look in his eyes. I don't have time for his cryptic games. We're already running late. So you're the famous boss of 10th high? I asked. The lanky guy bristled. What's that supposed to mean? You looking for a fight? Only then did I realize how provocative that sounded. I shook my head. No, but stay right here. Don't move. As I dashed out of the internet cafe, the lanky guy behind me was still fuming. Boss, isn't that girl way too cocky? Yeah, Suzhua's drawn-out reply carried unmistakable mockery. I came back panting with the takeout, and sure enough, Suzhua was still at the counter. He hadn't budged an inch, still in the exact same position, only now with a cigarette between his fingers. His crew had been chatting and gaming, but they all scrambled to their feet the moment I walked back in. They peered cautiously over my shoulder. So do I really give off that gang boss vibe now? I walked straight up to Suzhua. Do you know me? Resource group pushpin WeChat, QQ number 1797328031. He snorted through his nose and rolled his eyes. Without answering, he took a shallow drag of his cigarette and slowly exhaled, letting thin wisps of white smoke drift between us. So I was asking a dumb question. Wait, back in freshman year, Was it you who stopped them from tearing my books and breaking my stuff? I choked out between coughs. My admission was essentially bought, which sparked widespread resentment among classmates. The bullying came thick and fast, but by second semester, things gradually improved. The physical harassment stopped, leaving only occasional verbal jabs and gossip. I'm truly content with this. I overheard someone who tore my book getting scolded by others. The boss said not to touch her stuff, just curse at her a bit and be done with it. As expected, people never change out of genuine remorse, only fear ever reforms anyone. I always thought the boss they mentioned was Jang Yu, and he certainly implied and allowed that impression to persist. That's why I was so grateful and obedient to him in my past life. Later, I saw his bragging post saying, I didn't have to lift a finger, just strung her along, and she gave me everything. Only then did I realize my so-called first love had been built on lies from the very beginning. Looking back now, the boss those people kept mentioning could only be the school bully Su. He stubbed out his cigarette and gave a nonchalant what? The tone was challenging, but his lazy eyes held a hint of anticipation. Normally at this point, someone would follow up by asking why he helped me, but I just won't. If in my past life I still feared Su somewhat, after witnessing his ridiculous antics following my death, now all I feel toward him is pure speechlessness. You love playing the aloof ice prince, love calling me dumbass, then by all means, stay frosty. It's nothing, I shrugged with a casual smile, pulling a cola from the plastic bag. I handed it over. Thanks. Su wore a visibly stifled expression. He didn't take it, his face darkening instantly. Is this it? A free drink that came with the meal, and you're giving it to me? What do you take me for? I pulled out the receipt from the bag and waved it in front of him. It's not free. I bought it specially. Su actually took the receipt and scrutinized it, his face darkening like a storm cloud. 2 bottles, one for that Jiang whatever, and I just get the leftover one. My face darkened in disbelief. I never expected him to be this sharp. Jiang Yu doesn't drink cola, he says it'll kill. The last word died in my throat as Su looked ready to explode. He straightened up, advancing with menacing steps, practically grinding his teeth. Xiao. Am I not a man? Pinned against the wall, I was utterly speechless. That claim had zero scientific basis. Whatever, he probably wouldn't get it anyway. I wedged the soda can into the hole of his ripped jeans and just let go, not caring if it fell. Since I love Coke, I got you one too. Take it or leave it. Under Su's complicated gaze, I shoved his chest aside and slipped free from his grasp. By the way, stop wearing these thin pants, you'll get arthritis, and learn some manners instead of cursing all the time. The lanky guy only found his voice after I'd walked several meters away, shrieking, Boss, this chick actually dares to tell you what to do. This time I couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. At that moment, I didn't realize it was the first genuine happiness I'd felt since my rebirth. Jiang Yu lost several games in a row, even got instantly wiped in one match, then took his frustration out on me by blaming the takeout I bought. I let him grumble away while carefully peeling shrimp and removing veins for him. Su walked past us, still acting all cocky, but he was clutching that half-empty cola bottle in his hand. After finishing the plate of shrimp, I rubbed my hands sheepishly and said to Jiang Yu, Gonna wash my hands real quick. He curled his lips slightly without even lifting an eyelid. When I re-entered the internet cafe through the side door, I didn't return to Jiang Yu's side. Instead, I quietly slipped into a secluded corner, retreating further into the shadows to conceal myself, waiting for the spectacle about to unfold. Didn't look carefully, but there was actually a private booth behind me, and I accidentally backed into the door, swinging it open. Inside, Su was sitting at the computer, his well-defined fingers resting casually on the keyboard. He turned to look at me, the irritation in his eyes instantly shifting to amusement. Oh, so now you want to know the reason. I hurried inside, carefully closing the door behind me, leaving just a tiny crack. Shoo, shut up. A furious shout came from outside. Which little shit named Jiang Yu from No. 10 High School is here. Get your ass out here. The rowdy internet cafe fell deathly silent in an instant. All eyes turned toward the source of the noise, the notorious school bully from No. 13 High standing at the entrance. 5. In his arms clung his whimpering, delicate girlfriend. Throughout high school, I made it my business to know all the bullies from No. 10 and No. 13 High, not for drama, but for strategic avoidance. These students couldn't care less about grades. Not that it would matter anyway. Gang fights, however, are pretty much the norm here. Surviving in this messed up environment without teachers backing me up, with only my grandma left at home, I had to do whatever it took to protect myself. Jang Yu's gaming buddies quietly stood up and wisely distanced themselves from him when they heard the commotion, though they didn't know how their buddy had pissed people off. The 13 tyrants were seeing red. They feared getting splattered with blood when the brawl inevitably broke out. Jang Yu visibly panicked. Claim benefits pushpin WeChat. HQ179-732-8031, his face turned deathly pale, utterly bewildered yet trembling in silence. 13 tyrants sneered, slowly advancing toward him, pulled out the phone, shoved it in his face with a vicious grin, slowly swiping through the screen with a finger. That piece of trash they're talking about in this post, that's you, isn't it? Jang Yu instinctively denied it, but froze when he saw the enlarged photo staring back at him. It was unmistakably him, owner's exclusive ID pushpin WeChat, QQ number 17973288031. The profile of a creep ogling under a girl's skirt at the internet cafe entrance, the sneaky hand groping a girl's butt in the crowded bar, and of course, there's more. The smirk on his face while using a hidden mirror on his shoe to upskirt unsuspecting women. Of course, the victims weren't just 13 tyrants' girlfriend, there were many others. How can I see everything so clearly from this distance? Because the poster is me. Before going to buy food for Jang Yu, I secretly booted up a computer in the corner and posted this thread on the school forum. The photos of him harassing 13 tyrants' girlfriend were taken today outside the internet cafe, same outfits in every shot, undeniable evidence. The other photos were accidental shots I took before, still sitting undeleted in my phone. I had no clue what the mirror on shoes thing meant back then. Only asked why he kept bumping into other girls. Jang Yu claimed it was just an accident, yet blamed me for thinking the worst of him. In my past life, I actually believed him and even blamed myself. It wasn't until I became a ghost that I finally saw the ugliness in his heart. Jang Yu was actually quite handsome and popular with girls. By all rights, he shouldn't have been like this, but he had this flaw. His ambition soared higher than the sky. He thought the whole world was beneath him, yet resented everyone for having it easier and better than he did. Pathetic and laughable. He tore up my test papers out of envy for top students, then groped a school bully's girlfriend to spite him. In his deluded secrecy, he savored the thrill of petty revenge. Then he turned around and shamelessly accused the girl who trusted him wholeheartedly of having no self-respect. Disgusting. Students who saw the post found it equally revolting. Comments identified Jang Yu in the photos, with some even posting damning evidence. The post went viral within minutes. When I went to wash my hands, I was just waiting for 13 tyrants to come settle the score. Before Jang Yu could even snap out of his daze, 13 tyrants already slapped him across the face. Think carefully before you speak. I can't stand liars. Was it you or not? Another slap landed. The force of those two slaps was evident from the immediate swelling on Jang Yu's face. Stunned by the blows, he stammered, "Why yes, it was me." Just before the third strike landed, he raised his arm to block it. "But this was all my girlfriend's idea." Yes, she made me film it." Jang Yu nervously swallowed hard, pointing at the seat I'd just vacated. Her bag's still here. She'll be back any minute." His eyes darted around frantically searching for me. I could barely suppress my laughter. Jang Yu was being such a pathetic coward. Even the notorious 13 tyrants fell for his bluff. Scanning the room with him. "So where's your girlfriend?" Pressed against the doorframe, I instinctively recoiled and bumped into Xiao behind me. He was sneaking peeks at the drama too. I looked up. He gazed down. That smug grin on his face didn't escape my notice. 6. Regretting dating that Jiang, what's his name yet? Can't expect ivory from a dog's mouth. He sure knows how to twist the knife. Not only that, he yanked me aside and boldly reached out to pull. The door swung open. Caught completely off guard, I was abruptly thrust from darkness into blinding light. Multiple gazes locked onto me, sending my heart racing as I desperately calculated which exit route would result in the least beating. Xiao suddenly stepped forward, shielding me with his body. His towering 6-foot frame completely blocked my view. "Are you brain dead?" 13. What woman wants to look at another woman? Even if she did, why wouldn't she touch herself instead of letting some creep do it for her? Are you stupid or what? Why did Xiao have to take a swipe at me right now? 13's rage was boiling over, but his expression shifted instantly when he turned and saw it was Xiao. "Oh, brother Xiao's here today too, huh?" He released his grip on Jiang Yu's shoulder and asked tentatively, "This kid goes to your 10th high, Don't tell me you're looking out for him, Sujwa sneered. I don't take in trash, this coward makes me sick just looking at him. Casually grabbing a stick from the corner, he tossed it to 13 tyrants. I've got college entrance exams to worry about. Just rough him up a bit, don't bring the cops down on us. 13 tyrant grinned, tapping the bat against his palm. Got it, boss Shua. Stalking toward Jang Yu step by step. Which filthy hand of yours touched my girl, you bastard? I craned my neck to watch. But Sujwa shoved me into the private room. Click, the door locked. It's too gory. Don't want to scare a good student like you. Jiang Yu's blood-curdling scream came from outside. A shiver ran down my spine, but I almost laughed. Then 2 warm hands covered my ears. Don't be scared. Nothing serious will happen. Even 13 wouldn't dare barge in. Sujwa chuckled lowly. So brave with me, yet such a coward otherwise. The faint scent of tobacco lingered on his fingertips, normally something I'd detest, but now, my already fearless heart seems to have grown even calmer. Fine, I've decided not to tell him how I beat that vengeful spirit so badly even the king of hell wouldn't recognize it. Sensing the commotion outside was winding down, I waved at Sujwa. I'm out. He looked startled. Where to? Go back and study for your exams. All this trouble I'm causing isn't just to get back at Jiang Yu. The main thing is to stop him from disrupting my studies, like I'd sink to that scumbag's level. Sujwa's face went completely blank. I stepped out the door, then turned back. Aren't you going back to study hall? Last life he barely scraped into a tier 2 college just by being the school bully. This time if he actually tries, getting into a tier 1 university should be doable. Green Bamboo and his lackeys were squatting by the entrance on standby, grinning like they'd just heard a joke. Novel collection pushpin WeChat, QQ number 1797328031. Boss, this chick is telling you to hit the books. Ha ha ha. Sujwa looked like he was about to lose it. Shut the hell up. What's so funny? After study hall, I headed home. The route was familiar. Yet the moment I pushed open the door, everything felt strangely foreign. After starting college, I rarely went home, though my university was local. I spent every holiday working to pay tuition and living expenses. Truth be told, I genuinely didn't want to return to that place that kept trying to trap me. But back in high school, with heavy coursework and empty pockets, breaking free from my family seemed impossible. Bang, a bowl shattered at my feet. I said I'm not eating. Stop nagging. My brother stormed toward the master bedroom, his phone blaring game sounds. Grandma trailed behind, fussing. How can you skip dinner, at your age? You need proper meals to grow strong. Spotting my return, she pointed at the spilled egg custard on the floor. Xiao, clean this up now. Same old story, from infancy to his teens. Grandma's been chasing my little brother around to feed him. Is eating independently really that hard? Stepping over the mess, I tossed my backpack into the tiny balcony cubby. Yep, this is where I live. Mom passed away from childbirth complications when my brother was born. And Dad died in an industrial accident years ago. Now it's just Grandma raising the 2 of us. 7. In our 70 square meter old apartment, my brother gets the master bedroom while Grandma takes the smaller one. They partitioned a tiny space on the balcony with a folding cot. That's where I sleep. To Grandma, my brother represents the last surviving bloodline of the Zhou family. I'm just a money-losing burden who'll be married off sooner or later, but at least it's my own private space. And I'm content with that. When Grandma came out again and saw the floor still in disarray, she yanked open the partition curtain. Aren't you going to clean up? Do you expect these old bones to get down on the floor and scrub? I was halfway through changing when I quickly grabbed my pajamas to cover myself. Why can't he clean up after himself? Since when does your brother do such chores? That's what older sisters are for. I nearly laughed. If he's not meant for chores, what's he good for? Lazing around playing video games. Grandma was so furious she started hitting me. What's wrong with your brother playing games to unwind after failing his exam? Who asked for your opinion? It's because of your academic success that he's lost all confidence. The room was too cramped, nowhere to dodge. I took 2 solid hits. No point arguing. You can't change old school thinking with a few words. I changed my clothes and cleaned up the broken bowl and egg custard from the floor. Returned to the cubicle, drew the curtain, and started reviewing my study materials. In this household, I never dared hope for a quiet environment or uninterrupted time to complete a test paper, but I'd barely turned 2 pages when Grandma's voice called out again. Xiao dear, fetch some water for your brother to wash his feet. An angry shout came from the master bedroom. I won't wash them. Damn annoying. Grandma coaxed gently. Washing your feet helps you sleep better at night, be good now. Then she reminded me, Xiao dear, don't make the water too hot, add more warm water after your brother starts washing. My head was splitting with pain, I slammed the book shut and took deep, heaving breaths just to barely calm down. Returning to this life again, I found it so suffocating I could hardly breathe. God knows how I endured it last time. Went to the kitchen, filled an enamel basin with hot water, tempered it with cold, and tested it, just the right temperature. Carried it to the master bedroom and set it down by the bed. Hurry up and wash up, I still need to study after this. My younger brother was sprawled on a crumpled blanket playing Honor of Kings, completely ignoring me. My last shred of patience was fading. If you don't wash up, Grandma will make my life miserable today. Get moving. The phone announced, you have been slain. My brother sat up, yelling furiously. Fuck, can you stop ruining my game? I crossed my arms and stared at him blankly. Hurry up and shower, I'm leaving right after. Couldn't stand being here a second longer. His rage suddenly melted into a creepy smirk. Fine, I'll wash up. I dipped my feet into the basin, then jerked them out with a splash. Water droplets sprayed everywhere, drenching my face and hair. Ha ha ha, asking me to wash my feet. You wanna drink my foot bath or something? My little brother howled with laughter. Rolling on the bed, wiping the water off my face, I noticed my hands were trembling. The water acted like gasoline, instantly igniting the fury buried deep within. Years of pent-up frustration, righteous anger, and helpless grievances were on the verge of erupting. If only reason hadn't held me back. I can't afford to burn bridges with my family before becoming independent. Apologize. My voice trembled as I spoke. Who do you think you are to demand an apology? My younger brother tilted his head, smiling with innocent cruelty. Xiao, have you forgotten who you really are? How could I ever forget? Impossible to forget. The name Xiao was meant to summon a boy for the Zhou family. The ultrasound supposedly showed I was a boy during pregnancy, but they got a girl at birth. Grandma had originally planned to handle this situation, but Mom's poor health made them fear she couldn't conceive again, so they reluctantly kept me. They stubbornly named me Xiao in hopes of finally having a proper son to carry on the family name. After years of trying every Chinese and Western medicine, acupuncture, and therapies, they finally got their baby boy. But the delivery went wrong. Mother never made it out of the operating room alive. Grandma never stopped praising Mother, calling her the Zhou family's greatest benefactor. They say Mom took one last look at my brother and felt completely at peace, saying her life was well lived. I used to understand their choices, but over time, something started feeling off, especially in my last life. After starting college, I worked part-time jobs constantly, meeting all sorts of people and seeing countless news stories. We're all human, yet some are cherished like precious gems while others are chained in basements, stripped of freedom. Some, like me, bear names that aren't truly ours, living lives we were never meant to live. The world isn't flat, I know that much, but I can't fathom why it has to be so rugged. I glared daggers at my brother, enunciating each word. Apologize. Now, my brother's grin widened. You okay there? Talking nonsense again. I bit my lower lip hard, crouched down, and picked up the enamel basin. Splash, a full basin of water came pouring straight down over my little brother's head. The scalding water knocked the breath out of him, leaving him gasping for air, and so he gulped down mouthful after mouthful of his own foot-washing water. His arrogant demeanor vanished as he stared blankly at his soaked clothes and the expanding water stain on the bed. Then he erupted like a madman, screaming, Zhou. I finally burst out laughing. Little brother, how does your own foot bath taste? My little brother was sprawled on the bed retching for ages before sticking his finger down his throat. I casually remarked, little bro, that's the same hand you just used to wash your feet. He froze, eyes burning with rage, then lunged at me like a rabid animal. Just another Tuesday for me. Didn't even flinch, pinned his arm against the wardrobe door, immobilizing him completely. Never ate properly growing up. Pathetic. Snatched the enamel basin and slammed it over his head, grabbed his phone and smashed it against the basin's bottom with a piercing clang. My little brother was howling nonstop as the basin kept shaking. You gonna apologize or what? Screw your apology, I'm going deaf here. Clang, clang, clang. I banged the basin's rim several times. That piercing sound gave me goosebumps even from outside. My little brother was screaming his lungs out. Going to apologize or not? Yes. Damn it, I'm fucking sorry. Xiao. The last sentence was nearly shouted hoarse. Remember this, Xiao won't put up with your nonsense. If you dare mess with me again, you'd better check if you've got what it takes." As the basin was removed, my younger brother stood dazed from the shock, staggering as if about to collapse. Instinctively, I reached out to steady him. In an instant, my hair was violently yanked, not in one solid grasp, but in vicious tufts, nearly tearing patches of scalp clean off. It was Grandma. She truly had more expertise in these scrappy brawling tactics. She actually had the heart to be cruel to her own granddaughter. Seeing Grandma coming to his aid, my brother suddenly perked up and got aggressive, kicking me violently. "How dare you hit me? And now you want an apology? Who do you think you are? How dare you hit your brother, you worthless burden?" I can't tell whether the physical pain cuts deeper, or the anguish in my heart hurts more at this moment. Owner's exclusive contact pushpin WeChat. QQ number 1797328031. My own family never treated me as human, then I've got nothing left to care about. Seizing the moment, I gathered all my strength and delivered a vicious kick to my brother's vulnerable spot. After a piercing shriek, the rain of blows finally stopped falling on me. Completely shut down, my brother lay writhing on the ground, curled up like a shrimp, his face as pale as paper. Grandma was so terrified that tears gushed from her eyes as she threw herself onto him with a thud. "My precious boy, are you hurt? Does it hurt?" She glared at me with bulging eyes. "You worthless girl. You're trying to end the Xiao family line." I casually smoothed my hair that she had tugged on. "What does the Xiao family's lineage have to do with me?" Xiao. Besides, I deliberately held back that kick. If he's still this pathetic, it just proves the Xiao family's so-called last hope is, well, not much to write home about. In the bedroom, the grandmother and grandson were sobbing in each other's arms, while I packed my school bag in the alcove, completely unfazed. I couldn't help but laugh. I walked out expressionless amid Grandma and my brother's curses. Even the howling midnight wind felt kinder than this house. Before I knew it, I'd wandered back to 10th High. This place I once loathed has become my last resort when there's nowhere else to go. Pity it's pitch black here too. A few steps down the alley, the internet cafe is still buzzing with life. Oh right, you can rent the cafe overnight. But after patting my empty pockets, I hesitated. My allowance has always been meager. Sometimes when I bought meals for Jang Yu and he forgot to pay me back, I had to skimp on my own food to make ends meet. I should have asked him for the meal money before 13 tyrants showed up today. Regret. I kicked at the roadside pebbles, my gaze fixed on the trash bin beside the internet cafe. It was filled with empty water bottles, along with delivery boxes and takeout containers. Granny used to say if we saved them up, we could get a few bucks per pound. I was deep in calculations when I looked up to see Suj was standing before me, hands stuffed in his pockets. No more those ripped jeans, just proper trousers that actually looked good. Even his hoodie had lost that try-hard vibe, but his expression, well, words failed me. "Are you planning to dig through trash?" I nodded. "That's exactly what I had in mind." Sujwa led me into the internet cafe with a face like thunder. I paused at the entrance of the private room. From what I remembered, the VIP lounge was spacious and lavishly decorated, clearly expensive at first glance. "I don't want to split such an expensive bill with you. How about lending me some cash? I'll just grab a seat at the regular tables and pay you back in a few days." Sujwa scratched his head in frustration. "Who the hell wants to team up with you? Damn, never thought you'd be this difficult." Without another word, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me inside. "Didn't you tell me to study alone? Fine, tutor me through this test. I'll pay your hourly rate." After a moment's hesitation, I stopped resisting and followed him in. In my past life as a tutor, clients initially lowballed my rates because I graduated from a second-tier college. Daily updates pushpin WeChat Japanese symbol for beginner, QQ1797328*031. But when my students' grades improved dramatically, my reputation grew. By junior year, I was commanding premium rates. Suj was definitely getting his money's worth this time. The lights flicked on as Sujwa looked at me with a furrowed brow. He pulled me into the private bathroom. "What happened to you?" The mirror reflected a disheveled figure, matted hair, 3 bloody scratches across the face, completely drenched and utterly pathetic. I couldn't exactly say I'd been in a fight with family. I sighed. "Just to scam a few more empty water bottles from you." Sujwa laughed in frustration. Xiao, you're something else. Just wait, I'll buy a whole case later, dump all the water, and give you every empty bottle. Why waste good water? Are you dumb? Just give me the full case, I'll sell it at 20% off. They stared at each other until one of them burst out laughing. Sujua's private room was impeccably clean and luxurious, with incredibly comfortable seating. After tidying myself up, I pulled out a test paper from my bag and spread it before him. Time to get writing. He insisted on pressing a band-aid onto my face. I shoved the test paper closer to him again. Get writing. Thirsty? Want me to crack open a water bottle? Sujua asked. I grabbed the guy who'd just stood up and pushed him back down. Cut the nonsense and write already. Sujua tossed the gum box lazily in his hand. You're serious about this? No need to go that far. 9. After a moment's thought, it clicked. This is already one of the easier senior year exam papers. If you still find it difficult, I'll find you a freshman level 1 online. The chewing gum hit the floor with a smack. Sujua narrowed his eyes dangerously. You think I can't solve this? Who exactly are you looking down on? Look down on you? Huh. In my past life at a university, I'd occasionally run into Sujua, but he always acted strangely, either staring at the sky or gazing at trees, once on the sports field with nothing around. He was just looking at his own hands. I kinda get it though. School tough guys tend to be a bit extra with their athleticism, who can truly excel in moral, intellectual, physical, aesthetic, and labor education all at once. But Sujua, holding his breath in defiance, flipped the paper over and started working on the final problem. Don't be reckless, go easy on yourself. I worried about pushing him too hard. To my surprise, as I watched, his approach to solving the problem turned out to be spot on. Sujua slammed his finished test paper in front of me with a cocky grin. If this isn't full marks, I'll take your last name. It actually was full marks. Watching him barely conceal his hopeful expression, I could no longer maintain my poker face. Think this is funny? Someone who clearly could ace exams chooses to play the struggling student, just to end up at some mediocre school. You find that amusing? Others struggle so hard to take control of their lives yet end up powerless, while you treat life's opportunities so carelessly, thinking you're hot shit, calling me an idiot. Look who's talking. I never expected to break down crying like this. Even ghosts shed tears sometimes. I didn't cry when I saw my grandmother and boyfriend leeching off me in my name. I didn't cry when a horde of vengeful spirits hunted me down and nearly shattered my soul. Not even after Rebirth. When my grandmother and brother beat me together, did I shed a tear? But watching the freedom and opportunities I'd longed for being trampled so carelessly, that finally broke me. In my past life, Jang Yu kept offering congratulations until I received my admission letter and discovered he'd tampered with my college application. My grandmother wouldn't even cover my tuition or living expenses. On my first day of enrollment, I had to apply for student loans. And every weekend after that was spent working odd jobs to make ends meet. All this was painful, but nothing haunted me more than a single sentence. On the day I received my admission letter, I ran into Himayan, an old middle school classmate. He'd just gotten his acceptance letter from Tsinghua University and was eagerly sharing the news with me. Seeing the bold A on my acceptance letter cover shocked them more than it did me. Zhou. You ranked third in our high school entrance exams while I was only 10th. Zhou. You could have gotten into Tsinghua or Peking University too. Why didn't you? That day I fled in utter defeat. Why do I keep questioning myself? Why could have but didn't? When I graduated from middle school, my homeroom teacher excitedly told me that ranking top 3 in the high school entrance exam meant having one foot already in Tsinghua or Peking University, as long as nothing goes wrong. What a pity that my life has been nothing but wrong turns. Sujua sprang up in alarm as I sobbed uncontrollably, his chair skidding backward across the floor. Please don't cry. I promise I'll study properly and finish all my practice tests from now on. Okay, I wasn't scolding you. Every time I sit by the lake, I'm cursing myself. I regret not knowing everything you've been through. Honestly, my family's a mess too. After my parents divorced, they practically wanted to kill each other. Some days I don't even know why I bother getting out of bed. Alright, Zhou. We've been given this second chance. Let's take our exams seriously and make the most of life. Deal. I wiped my tears. So, you're reborn too? Sujua froze for 2 seconds. Holy shit. I grabbed the tissue he handed me. So how did you die? He turned away awkwardly, mumbling, well, I just woke up back here. Anyone else get reborn? Nope, that's sure about it. Absolutely, though doubts still lingered. Seeing Sujua's stubborn refusal to talk without interrogation tactics, I wiped my face and shifted my focus. Every moment in senior year is precious. I really need to get my act together. Pulling out the newly distributed test papers from my bag, I skimmed through them. they were quite well designed, and immediately started working. Sujua sat stiffly beside me, then after a long pause, nudged my arm, still mad at me. Nope, then why aren't you helping me with the test papers? How would I know your actual level? Go find your own practice tests. Oh, I didn't sleep a wink all night. It wasn't the private room's fault, the chair was actually quite comfortable. Sujua kept warning me that staying up late would make me go bald. But I just couldn't fall asleep. Because of Sujua, I realized he could solve every exam paper I could. No disrespect to the school toughs, but anxiety and dread kept welling up inside me. It finally dawned on me that 10th High had its limits, whether in teachers' instructional skills, exam difficulty, or students' academic levels. 10. In such an environment, even if I remained top-ranked forever, consistently outscoring second place by 100 points, this excellence would still be constrained. In my past life, I gave my all, even overperformed, on the college entrance exam, yet only managed to get into a bottom-tier 985 university in the middle of nowhere. Back in my first year of high school, I naively believed personal effort alone could bridge the gap between schools. Turns out every misstep comes with its price. I had what it took to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. But that ability wasn't destroyed when Jang Yu tampered with my college application. It had already been erased the moment Grandma spent that 50 grand. This realization made my heart sink like a stone, plummeting into the abyss of hopelessness. Hey, Xiao. Sujua waved a hand in front of my dazed eyes. Still hung up on that Jiang guy. Don't sweat it, I'll handle that bastard myself next time. I blinked. Watching his brimming confidence, he's right, why worry? Being reborn into this moment is fate's greatest mercy already. Even if I could return to middle school, would I truly have the power to choose the life I want? No, I was even weaker back then than I am now. I nodded slowly. If you want to improve your grades, maybe you could ask Mayan for help. Early in the morning, Sujua was nowhere to be found. I texted our homeroom teacher Lao Yang to ask for leave. Novel collection pushpin WeChat, QQ account 179-732-8031. Just stake out Mayan at the entrance of No. 1 High School. Add backup contact pushpin WeChat, QQ number 179-732-8031. We lost contact after middle school. I heard he kept trying to find me when he first learned I went to No. 10 High. I avoided meeting him, knowing it would only bring more pain and helplessness, but now, I'm determined to give it a shot no matter what. Mayan was his usual self, yawning lazily as he arrived at school right on the dot. Spotting me crouched by the entrance, he blinked repeatedly. Xiao, am I seeing things? Just as I was about to speak to him, the school bell rang. Mayan waved cheerfully at the security guard, who surprisingly let him pass without further questioning. Relax, my competition results are in, I'm guaranteed admission to Tsinghua. Class attendance doesn't matter anymore. His eyes crinkled with amusement. Xiao, it's been years, you must have something important to come find me, right? I had prepared a whole speech and a list of reasons. I wanted to explain how awkward I felt about disturbing them, and how crucial my request really was, but to my surprise, just a few words from them put me at ease. Could I possibly take a look at your school's exam papers? I asked cautiously. Borrow? Mayan frowned. What do you mean by borrow? Xiao, I'd gladly give you the test paper. I can even explain each question to you one by one. Do you have any idea how long I've waited for this day? I've been hoping you'd reach out to me again. He threw his backpack on the ground and unzipped it. It's completely empty inside, just a bag, nothing more. Can I borrow a pen and some paper? He reached out awkwardly, using my 3-5 book as a pad. He wrote swiftly, you need test papers, right? Here, take these practice exams, and the monthly tests too. Our weekly math quizzes are well designed, I'll give you all of them. Just practice tests aren't enough. Our teacher compiled this exam key points booklet called Tsinghua One Shot Wonder, corny name, but the questions are actually well chosen. I've got my own mistake notebook. Wait, no, those are for competitions. Tell you what, I'll ask our class monitor for their error compilation. Before long, they'd filled an entire page with notes. Mayan arranged to give me a few test sets that evening so I could start studying. The usually sluggish guy perked up as he waved at me and strode into campus. Even letting out a sharp whistle, his energy reignited something in me. A dormant fire began smoldering in my veins again. Putting away my pen and notebook, I clenched my fists and pumped myself up. Turning around, I spotted Sujua leaning casually against a tree, tossed me 2 bags without a word and left. One contained a brand new outfit with tags still attached, the other held a jianbing guizi with double eggs. I went to Himayan to collect the exam papers. After some thought, I decided to just go to the internet cafe. It's the only place where I can focus on solving problems undisturbed. Suzhua said that private booth was his yearly reserved spot, telling me to feel free to use it anytime. I did the math on the tutoring fees he'd effectively paid me. It was substantial, so I stopped worrying about it. There was something off about Suzhua tonight. The shoulder-length hair was trimmed short. The silver gray dyed back to black, clothes neatly pressed and crisp. Speech now measured and deliberate. It's fine, really, just doesn't feel like him. Instead of focusing on your studies, why bother with all this? I watched as he somehow produced a pair of glasses and put them on. 11. Suzhua leaned against the table, his long legs swinging carelessly. Aren't you into this type? After a brief pause, I replied, Himayan was my middle school classmate. You two are nothing alike. Seeing that look of misunderstanding forming again, I decided to lay it out plainly. At first I thought you were kinda cringy with that edgy style, but you grew on me. Not bad looking actually, Suzhua said through gritted teeth with a complicated expression. Xiao, you really aren't afraid of me, are you? That evening I swung by home. I kept telling myself on the way, just going back to grab a few things, don't get your hopes up. Yet reality turned out worse than my lowest expectations. The moment I stepped in, Grandma swung a slap at me. Thankfully I dodged it with ease. Do you have any idea how badly you've hurt your brother? Didn't ask where I went yesterday, didn't ask where I spent the night. I looked over and saw my brother sprawled on the couch, cursing while playing video games, too scared to confront me, so they're deliberately turning a blind eye. Must not have heard enough. I walked into my cubicle and started packing my things into a bag. Thankfully there wasn't much, a single large bag held everything. I opened the door and stepped out, ready to leave. Grandma finally called after me. Where do you think you're going? Since when did you start acting up? In my past life, my endless obedience was taken for granted. Now when I dare to stand up for myself, I'm accused of causing trouble. How ridiculous. I'm moving to the dorm, I said wearily. What dorm? We've got food and shelter at home. Why waste good money at school? Grandma's voice rose sharply. Right, every penny spent on me is wasted. Don't worry, you won't pay a dime for room or board. I need a quiet place to study for my college entrance exams. The moment those words left my mouth, I regretted them. Sure enough, Grandma snapped impatiently. Always studying. What's the point for a girl? Aunt Wang found a family offering a hefty bride price. You'll get engaged right after graduation. That's no way to talk, Granny. Suzhua appeared at the doorway unnoticed. Who are you? Granny hunched her already slightly stooped frame, wary. I'm Zhou Zhao's homeroom teacher, Suzhua declared without batting an eye, but with his crisp white shirt, black trousers, and gold-rimmed glasses, he did have that refined yet unscrupulous vibe. You think Zhou's here for regular boarding? Think again, she's tutoring our students, we'll provide room and board, plus pay her a salary. She'll earn way more than any of you. That's what education does for girls, old-timer, get it now. Granny's eyes lit up the moment she heard about the wages. She pushed me toward the door. Go on then, just remember to hand your wages to Granny later. Suzhua pulled Grandma's hand away. Old lady, pinning hopes on that grandson of yours will leave you starving someday. This girl here's the real golden goose you should be clinging to. I shot him a glare. On our way back to the internet cafe, Suzhua swung my bag back and forth like a pendulum. Don't swing it so hard, Dad's old gift mug is in there, I warned. In this house, perhaps he was the only one who ever showed me a little love. That mug was the reward he proudly gave me when I ranked first in my junior high school year. Finally talking to me, Suzhua tilted his head. I wasn't wrong earlier, you're the real MVP here. I may be the MVP, but not just anyone gets to ride my coattails. I took a deep breath. They're not worthy. Suzhua took 2 quick steps forward, turned around and blocked my path with a mischievous smirk. Then am I worthy? Can I hug you? I stumbled on flat ground, changing the subject. Since I'm taking your tuition fees, I'll have to be as strict with you as I am with my students. Suzhua scoffed. Bring it on, I'm not scared of you. Arrived at the internet cafe, the place looked completely different. The gaudy cabinets that used to line the wall behind the chairs had all been removed, replaced with a bed, just a tiny bed. I looked up at the culprit with unspoken exasperation. Oblivious, he retorted. What, you're homeless, aren't you? Surely you can't keep sleeping on chairs for 6 months straight. His lips curled into a smirk. Or, you could crash at my place, works for me. My 3000 SQFT apartment's emptier than a ghost town, honestly. The only functional thing left there is the bed. A violent coughing fit seized me, back then in my past life. I was still naive about many things, but now, my face burned with scorching heat. Suzhua clutched his stomach laughing. Zhao, second time's the charm. Finally it's your turn to be at my mercy. Ha ha ha, relax, I won't mess with you. Just want to give you a comfier study environment. You need proper rest to tutor me well. Right, makes sense. That evening, after assigning Suzhua's homework, I started working on the test papers Mayan brought me. The more I do it, the more excited I get. I discovered many unfamiliar question types and learned problem-solving approaches from the answer key that our teacher never covered. 12. I finally understand my true capabilities and have identified the direction for my next steps. Suzhua sat nearby chewing gum, mindlessly memorizing vocabulary with massive dark circles under his eyes. It's 2 a.m., Mr. Zhou. Can I turn off the lights and go to bed? Memorize 2 more pages first. The next morning, right after self-study period. A crowd suddenly came pouring in through the back door. The already rowdy classroom grew even noisier as everyone turned to look with curiosity. I took off my earplugs and turned around to see Suzhua standing at the front. They pushed desks and carried chairs, casually arranging them at the back of our classroom. In a flurry, a dozen people formed 2 new rows. What are you guys up to? I walked over. Didn't you tell me to study hard? Well, here I am, not just studying myself, but getting all my buddies to join in, right? He tilted his chin up, looking around smugly. The little string lights responded lethargically. Yay, stop fooling around. Suzhua, we're having a proper class here. My temples were throbbing. Who's fooling around? We're serious about studying too. We even have a study group name. Suzhua's lips curled into a smirk. The lanky kid chimed in. Yeah, our boss renamed our old Blazing Gang to Blazing Study Group. Pretty cool, huh? That's when I realized the pride on Suzhua's face was genuine. I might have overestimated his IQ. Zhao, I hereby appoint you as the second in command of our Blazing Flame study group. Who wants to be second fiddle? My face turned ashen. Fine then, you'll be the leader. I'll be the leader too. We'll be equals. Green Bamboo chimed in. Absolutely, the boss and his lady should be equals. Who's his lady? I shot them a glare and stormed off in a huff. Getting beaten by those vicious ghosts wasn't even this painful. Soon enough, I realized there was actually an advantage to Suzhua and the others sitting in the back. Suzhua handed out test papers to the little troublemakers, forbidding bathroom breaks until they finished writing. The former delinquents now squirmed in their seats, scratching their heads in frustration, too intimidated to even complain. Even the usually chatty and rowdy students at the front of our class became as quiet as church mice. The learning environment improved instantly. Even homeroom teacher Lao Yang froze momentarily upon entering, double-checking the classroom number before stepping onto the podium. Students in the last 2 rows, are you in the wrong seats? Lao Yang wiped sweat from his forehead. After all, many students at 10th High were beyond teacher's authority to discipline. Suzhua leaned back in his chair, crossing his legs. Mr. Yang, we're here to learn. Your elite class wouldn't look down on underachievers like us, would you? Old Yang gulped. Of course not. Actually, our 10th High's elite class is nothing special at all. They're all equally terrible. He chuckled. That's the spirit, that's the spirit. The teachers really appreciate students who want to learn. For the first time, when the teacher was explaining problems at the podium, students were actually paying attention, with some even raising their hands to ask questions. The man, well over 50, had tears welling up in his eyes. Brilliant, that's an excellent question. After class, old Yang called me into his office. He told me Zhang Ting got disciplinary notice. Her friends initially refused to visit the infirmary, but the examination later confirmed. Old Yang sighed. Things haven't been peaceful at our school lately. Jang Yu got beaten up too, broken arm and leg. He'll be hospitalized for at least 2 months. Zhao, I can't offer you much help as a teacher. You're a smart kid, just focus on protecting yourself. In my past life, I actually held some resentment toward my high school teachers. I always wondered why they never stood up to do something about all those school bullying incidents. It dawned on me later that teachers are human too. If they can't even steer their own lives, how could they possibly protect those more vulnerable? Meeting old Yang's weary eyes, I nodded. Teacher, you never imagined your dream of educating young minds would end up in a place like this, did you? 13. Old Yang froze at my question. removing his vintage black-framed glasses to wipe them with his shirt hem. Who hasn't complained pointlessly when they were young, teacher? I really think our class could be the best you've ever taught. Do you believe that? I asked earnestly. Old Yang's eyes grew moist. I do. I can tell this class is different. You're all going to do great things. The advanced class at 10th High truly was different. At first, Suzhou would glare at the little sparklers with a dark expression while watching them solve problems. When the sparklers couldn't figure it out, they'd sneak to the front to ask for help. These honor students didn't carry the typical good kid pretensions. They were simply terrified of getting beaten up by the school bullies. Those who understood would meticulously outline each step, starting with solution. If I didn't understand something, I'd figure it out myself and then explain it to the little sparklers. Eventually, studying became second nature. In just a few weeks, the atmosphere became electric. During Monday's morning study session, Old Yang walked in with the monthly exam papers. Class, the moment to test what we've learned is here. Is everyone ready? A few scattered voices replied, ready. The string lights gave no response. The string lights were itching to bolt. Suzhou shot them a warning glare. Focus on your test. No cheating. If I catch anyone with cheat sheets, you're running 10 laps around the field. The students groaned in misery. Everyone took the first monthly exam of senior year's second semester dead seriously. Holy crap, I actually know how to solve this problem, someone muttered under their breath. What's all the fuss? I can solve over half of this test paper. Someone thought gleefully. I've clearly noticed my own improvement. My problem-solving approaches have become more flexible, and I can even spot answers to complex questions at a glance now. I can finish all the questions in just 2/3 of the time it used to take me. The teacher made the exam too easy to preserve most students' confidence. On results day, Old Yang specially got a big red poster and hand-copied every classmate's score onto it, including those bonus points forcibly squeezed into the last 2 rows. Of course, ironically, they were the most excited ones. Our whole class was staring at the grades in a daze. Some were rubbing their eyes furiously, others scrubbing at their names, all in utter disbelief. Unbelievable. The little colored lights were all bouncing around excitedly. Boss, have you ever seen this? A score starting with 3. Did I really pull this off? I must be a genius. Boss, I went from dead last to 100th from the bottom. Wait, no, 400th from the top. I'm freaking amazing. Suzhou grew increasingly irritated by their racket. All of you, get the hell out. Come back when you're done laughing. He sidled up next to me in a flash, smugly pointing at his name near the top of the list. Just a tiny bit behind you, that's all. 580 versus 680, just a slight difference indeed. His face was practically glowing with expectation for praise. His tail, if he had won, would have been wagging nonstop. I chuckled inwardly. Since when did school bullies act like this? Well done, Sue. That's all thanks to Teacher Zhou's guidance. I smiled, but secretly clenched my fists. 680 isn't enough. I need a perfect score on this exam. Only then might I barely reach the Tsinghua/Beta threshold. I asked Himayan to tutor me at the internet cafe. After going through all the materials he gave me, I've absorbed most of the key points, but when it comes to more advanced or in-depth topics, it's genuinely hard to figure them out without proper guidance. Himayan stood at the private room entrance, carrying his completely empty backpack. Wow, our secret hideout is pretty awesome, Suzhou corrected coldly. It's my secret hideout with Zhou Xiao. Despite his utter dislike for Himayan, Suzhou still pulled up a chair for him. Listen up, if Zhou Xiao fails to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, you're eating that gaming chair. Suzhou deadpanned, sure thing, and if she makes it, you'll be the one chewing on it. Himayan delivered his retort with an infuriating smile. 14, bring it on, who's afraid of who? The two reached an agreement, standing by. I pondered whether to go through with it and who'd be the most suitable candidate. Following Himayan's advice, I requested extended leave from my homeroom teacher and spent all my time studying at internet cafes. After all, there's only so much I can still learn at school. Himayan stopped carrying that empty backpack to school every day too, just tutored me at internet cafes instead. Suzhou would actually do better following the advanced classes pace. The difficulty level suits him perfectly. But he stubbornly refuses. I'm staying right here to watch you, he shouted. I couldn't help but frown. I mean, I'll just observe your tutoring session. Aren't you supposed to be earning your teaching fee by coaching me? His voice grew much quieter. Fair point, but I found that studying with Suzhou doubles the effectiveness. He wouldn't listen when Mayan explained it, insisting I go over it with him again. When I re-explain problems in my own words, it helps me organize my thoughts better and identify gaps in my understanding. What's more, Suzhua is actually quite brilliant. Some of his questions give me real breakthroughs. Those little troublemakers remained in the back rows of the honors class, with Suzhua assigning their daily homework and keeping tabs on their studies. Thus, every evening the internet cafe would witness quite the spectacle. A line of nervous students clutching workbooks or test papers would queue outside the private booths, awaiting homework inspection. Some got tossed out, students and assignments alike. Ugh, the boss made me redo everything. No sleep tonight. But hey, the boss actually praised me, said I could at least get into a third-tier college. Do you have to rub it in? Even the boss's wife complimented me. He. I saw Jang Yu again right before the mock college entrance exams. For this test, our homeroom teacher Old Yang went all out. He convinced the principal to join a joint exam with 10 elite schools. Our school used to do joint exams too, but only with mediocre schools like No. 13 High, which we jokingly called the Trash League exams. This time, all schools were included except for the prestigious ones like No. 1 High, Affiliated High, and No. 2 High. The principal was hesitant at first, worried our results might be embarrassingly poor. Old Yang guaranteed confidently, "Don't worry. We'll secure at least one spot in the top 10, and just like that, the pressure landed squarely on me. It's alright, Xiao, I believe in you." Old Yang's eyes sparkled with youthful energy, as if he'd shed 5 years, brimming with determination. "Got it, teacher, I believe in myself too." It really was time to find my place on a bigger stage. Stepping out of the office, I ran into Jang Yu. He was still wearing braces on his arms and legs, not fully recovered yet. Xiao, you seem different from before," Jiang Yu remarked. I suddenly became aware of the overly bright smile plastered across my face, especially when facing Jiang Yu's gloomy expression. "You're finally back at school. How's your health? I've been so worried about you," I said, putting on my most devoted girlfriend act. He scoffed. "Do you really care? You never once visited me during my surgery or hospital stay. In my past life, I would have rushed to the hospital to take care of him if anything happened. But now, even exchanging these few words with him feels like a waste of time. I was afraid your parents might suspect we're dating too young, and that wouldn't reflect well on you," I said with feigned melancholy before quickly adding, "But it's alright now, you're back. Tomorrow's the mock exam, our 10-school joint test. You've got this." Sure enough, Jiang Yu's face darkened further. 15, I knew him far too well. The same words of encouragement meant support and trust when said to others. But for someone like Jiang Yu, the more encouragement he gets, the greater the psychological pressure becomes. It only makes him feel like people are waiting to see him fail. "What's the big deal about the 10-school joint exam?" He feigned indifference. "A person's true ability isn't determined by a single test." "Of course not, but if someone consistently performs poorly, doesn't that suggest they're just worthless?" I said coolly. "What are you implying?" Jiang Yu's voice rose, his telltale sign of anger. I shrugged innocently. "No hidden meaning here. I genuinely believe you'll ace the exam. Your score will easily clear the 211 university threshold. Go get M." Watching the vein bulge at Jiang Yu's temple, I barely suppressed my laughter. On our way back to the internet cafe, Suzhua was visibly sulking. Some people just need a good beating. Why waste words on them? If all else fails, after the college entrance exams, I'll just steal his phone and alter his application choices. "No way," I scoffed. "We're law-abiding citizens. We don't do illegal things like that. Besides, the real art of revenge lies in crushing someone's spirit," I added with a dark chuckle. As I finished speaking, I suddenly noticed Suzhua had stopped walking moments earlier. My heart skipped a beat. During those 3 months as a wandering spirit, I tasted all the bitterness of life and witnessed too many unspeakable dark thoughts. Though we both got a second chance, perhaps Suzhua would find my current mindset still too shadowed by darkness. I stepped back and explained hesitantly, "Don't worry, I won't do anything too extreme to him." Suzhua's eyes glazed over as he shook his head. Xiao, did you just say we to me? Why did I overthink things just now?" Right after the mock exams ended, some students rushed to Old Yang to ask about their scores. Old Yang never got annoyed by their constant inquiries. Instead, he chuckled warmly. "It's good to see the kids taking their studies seriously. The joint exams from 10 schools will take days to grade, so just relax and focus on preparing for the monthly test." Everyone, amidst the general anticipation, Jiang Yu grew increasingly uneasy. He'd missed the last monthly exam but later completed the test papers on his own. To his dismay, his scores were even lower than those of a few mediocre students. He was genuinely panicking. Leaning on his crutch, he asked me, Xiao, if I take a gap year, would you wait for me? The 10-school joint exam became the final blow that shattered him. After the exam results were released, old Yan painstakingly copied our class scores by hand onto a large red poster, character by character. No one would have guessed this rough-looking man could write such elegant regular script, one column for grades, one for school ranking, and one for the 10-school ranking. Many classmates were moved to tears. Out of 10 schools and over 10,000 students, ranking around 5,000 is no small feat. I was literally at the bottom in my high school entrance exams. Oh my god, just 2 months of casual studying and I've improved this much. I should have started way earlier. Hey guys, I made it to the top 1,000. How good is that? Does this guarantee me a first-tier university spot? Green Bamboo Pole was absolutely heartbroken. Boss lady, you wouldn't believe it. When our gang first transitioned into a study group, those 13th high kids mocked us, saying we couldn't cut it anymore. 16, at first, we all felt too ashamed to even look our boss in the eye, but look at me now, scoring over 400 points, screw slacking off, I'm hitting the books and getting into college. I grabbed a tissue and dabbed at his snot bubble. What's there to be ashamed of? Hitting the books beats throwing punches any day. Outscore those hoodlums from 13th high. And you'll outshine them in life. Their thug phase won't last, but what you learn stays with you forever. Let's see who comes out on top in a few years. Green Bamboo nodded emphatically. Damn right it'll be us. The fairy lights chimed in excitedly. Victory's gotta be ours. The energy in the room instantly became electric. Even the students in the front row of our class joined the chant. Victory has to be ours. Suzhua seized the chaos to grab my wrist, giving it a shake. Mr. Xiao, did you see my ranking? I saw it. Of course I saw it. I was first on the scoreboard, with Suzhua right behind me in second place. In the inter-school ranking, I came in second while he placed 10th. Old Yang's bold promise of securing a spot in the top 10 not only came true, but brought an unexpected bonus. Maybe it was the emotional build-up, or perhaps memories of that grueling month pulling all-nighters studying in internet cafes. My eyes grew misty, on the verge of tears. In my past life, my greatest dream was simply getting into any 985 university, just to escape City A, to leave that house behind. Bigger dreams, I never dared to dream them, nor knew how to. All I ever saw was that small circle of sky above the well. But now, as I slowly climb out of that well, my vision expands, and I realize the sky is boundless. I can fly, I can soar freely, top of the school. No, next I'll dominate all 10 schools. Then I'll reclaim my rightful place across the entire city. Finally, with devout determination, I set my remaining half-step into the hallowed grounds of Tsinghua and Peking University. At this moment, my heart surges like tidal waves, not just from the radiant future and lofty ambitions, but from the unshakable certainty of attainment. In my past life, I was always utterly alone, shuttling between school and home like a solitary pendulum on its fixed path. In this life, I've rediscovered my greatest mentor Himayan and found my perfect companion Suzhua. In perfect sync, we stride steadily toward the future. I looked up at Suzhua and declared, Mr. Su, I hereby pronounce you the finest student I've ever taught. He glanced down, his smile faltering momentarily as his extended finger hovered then withdrew, scooted closer and whispered, You can wipe your snot on my shoulder. I'll pretend I didn't see those snot bubbles. Got pummeled by me in response. I wasn't snotty at all. You clueless jerk. Honestly, I just shed a couple of elegant tears. That's all. Rubbed hard against Suzhua's brand new white tee. Xiao, what the hell are you doing? I looked up to meet Jiang Yu's stormy expression. Jiang Yu's exam results turned out even worse than he'd anticipated. Just as I expected, while he was away for those 2 months, all his classmates made progress to varying degrees, while he remained stagnant. You either move forward or fall behind, and I messed with his head right before the exam. His ranking was nearly at the bottom. At my silent signal, Suzhua let Jiang Yu pull me to the corner of the classroom. Have you fallen for that delinquent? Why, there were plenty of reasons, but I only intended to tell him. 17. Resource Group Pushpin Contact. QQ17*97328031. No way. Of course I still like you, but Suzhua, he gets straight A's. Jiang Yu's expression shattered. Just because he aces exams and I don't. I lowered my head in silent acknowledgement. Jiang Yu took a deep breath. Xiao, grades don't define everything. And have you forgotten how I stood up for you before? When those bullies targeted you, I was the one who made it stop. Don't you remember? Of course I remember. Last time, you deceived me just like this, leaving me utterly devastated. I looked up with reluctant hesitation written all over my face. Jiang Yu, I'll always be grateful to you, but I've come to realize that academic excellence is far more attractive. Jiang Yu stood dumbfounded, staggering back until he barely steadied himself against the wall. The person who was completely under his thumb, once utterly devoted and obedient to him, now suddenly looks down on him. All because of poor exam results. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But Jiang Yu would take it to heart. For exams are his deepest insecurity. The academic pedestal he's scheming to drag me down from is the outstanding achievement he desperately craves but can never attain. Su Zhua finally lost patience and sauntered over. Xiao, why waste your breath on this underachiever? Jiang Yu's eyes burned with fury. Who are you calling an underachiever? Just wait. Xiao, I'll prove myself with top marks. Sure, I'll be waiting, I replied with a sweet smile. I can't wait to see how you'll keep failing harder with each exam. We only came back to school today because we had to check our grades. Su Zhua and I, after evening classes, we packed up our things and headed back to the internet cafe. At the doorway, Zhang Ting stopped us, nervously twisting her fingers as she asked timidly, Xiao, could I join your Blazing Flame study group too? To be honest, Su Zhua runs this study group with serious dedication. Though he grumbles while assigning and checking homework for his little fireflies, his tailored teaching methods have skyrocketed their grades. Everyone's witnessed their remarkable progress. Top students from honors classes were practically drooling with envy, begging to join the study group. Su Zhua turned a blind eye and casually carried them along to success, but this time, the one wanting to join was Zhang Ting. I'm sorry for the things I said about you before, but... Zhang Ting clenched her fingers until they turned white. But I didn't mean it. I won't do it again. Xiao, I really want to improve my grades and get into a better school. Oh, I nodded with a smile. Do you think I should agree? You think you just carelessly said a few harsh words to me back then? Fine, now I'm just carelessly turning you down. You think it's unfair, don't you? Because my refusal might cost you admission to a better school, the stakes are too high. Well, let me tell you, your careless insults changed the course of my life too. I patted her shoulder. Zhang Ting, I'm Xiao, no saint who can return good for evil. I know Su Zhua told his crew, no teaching you, no letting you tag along secretly to learn. Let me make this crystal clear today. Joining our study group, not a chance. You won't lay eyes on a single page of our materials. Watching Zhang Ting's face pale instantly, I felt nothing, not even satisfaction. People like her, they've already faded from my view. Monthly exams are coming one after another. 18. This time, old Yang was unusually motivated and secretly asked us, class, how about we try out No. 1 high school's mock exam papers? Old Yang's former classmate teaches at No. 1 high school. He gifted them a bottle of mitai and finally managed to get a set of mock exam papers. The moment people heard it was No. 1 high school, their first reaction was immediate intimidation. It's alright, don't sell yourself short. Give it a try and see where you stand in the city's top school. Nobody used to buy into old Yang's motivational pep talks, but somehow this time it actually fired everyone up. So for this monthly exam, our class got separate test papers and our own ranking system. Someone burst into tears right after the exam. Tough, really tough. Green Bamboo came running over in tears. Boss lady, I thought I'd improved. But turns out I don't even measure up when put with the real top students. Su Zhua rarely showed patience as he ruffled the boy's green hair. Top students go to Tsinghua or Peking University, but there are plenty of decent colleges left for you. Besides, you might surprise us all when the results come out. Who says you can't outperform those elite school kids? Just as expected, though everyone felt crushed right after the exam, their confidence skyrocketed when the results came out. Because old Yang not only got hold of the test papers but also the grade distribution rankings from No. 1 high school. Comparing the data, they realized their scores would actually rank near the top even at the elite school. That dream school which always seemed out of reach suddenly felt within their grasp. Both Su Zhua and I were quite familiar with the exam papers from No. 1 high school. Our scores consistently ranked first and second. This test was practically at the same level as the National College Entrance Exam. I scored 679, while Sujua got 623. That dream school that once felt out of reach is actually getting closer. Ever seen the scene where students cheer with every torn page of the Gaokao countdown calendar? Right before the second mock exam, I returned to school and witnessed exactly that spectacle, downright spine-chilling. Everyone was rolling up their sleeves, eager for the upcoming citywide standardized exam. Some classmates spotted Sujua and me returning, rushing over with test papers to ask questions. Except for Zhang Ting and her clique who bullied me relentlessly. Most classmates had joined our study group. When evening self-study ended, they'd swarm into the internet cafe in droves, waiting for review sessions and QA, novel collection pushpin WeChat, QQ1797328031. Sujua finally lost patience. Take a number, and try helping each other out, will you? I need time to study too. He Mayan crossed his legs and said with a grin, our Su here's doing great now, even his students can teach others. Sujua nearly snapped his pen in half. Exclusive contact pushpin WeChat. QQ*179*7328031, who gave you the right to call me classmate? Only Zhou Xiao gets to be my teacher. Got it, but I'm Zhou Xiao's teacher. He Mayan taunted, you're just jealous, aren't you? They almost came to blows. Fight all you want, just don't mess up the mock exams. I tried mediating, feeling utterly drained. The mock exam results were posted. The same red paper notices, the same delicate calligraphy. Sujua was slapping his thigh in excitement. Zhou Xiao, did you see this? Your results? Oh my god, yeah, I'm shocked too. Ranked third in the entire city. Though I've been working hard to reclaim my former standing, I never expected it to happen this fast, or this perfectly. I ranked third citywide in the high school entrance exam. Teachers said I was practically guaranteed admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. From my past life to this one, after wandering through countless detours, I've finally returned to where I was always meant to be. It's been so hard. Unbearably hard. No one could possibly understand the anguish I've carried all these years, but it's unnecessary now. These results speak for themselves. May I lean on your shoulder once more? I asked Sujua, tilting my head up. 19, bathed in the morning light, his smile outshone the sun. Of course, the honor is mine. Tears streamed down my face. Sujua's grades were excellent too, ranking in the top 100 citywide. I scolded him angrily, with your brains, if you'd buckled down earlier. You could have easily gotten into Tsinghua or Peking University. He waved it off casually. I don't need Tsinghua or Peking. Getting into any Beijing university with you is good enough. I wish I'd realized this sooner too, but I just wasn't mature enough back then. It took me 3 months by the lake to realize there's nothing embarrassing about hanging out with top students. Truth is, I'd already fallen for your relentless determination, I just hadn't noticed. I'm absolutely speechless about the school bully's twisted logic in his past life. As expected, Jang Yu bombed the exam spectacularly, completely defeated. He asked if I'd drop out with him. I can't even bother pretending anymore, because he's already a lost cause. Why should I throw away my bright future just to sync with you? Jiang Yu raised his voice. Zhou Xiao, is your future more important than me? Of course. Who do you think you are? I found it utterly ridiculous. And I suggest you don't take a leave from school, because your grades will only get worse. When you come back, you might not even make it into a vocational college. Those words turned out to be prophetic. Jiang Yu barely scraped by the second-tier college cutoff in his previous life. But this time around, his performance was an absolute disaster, ended up with no college to attend. Sujua and I kept grinding through hell mode after the second mock exam until the third. When we adjusted our pace and consolidated key concepts, the night before the Gaokao, Sujua whispered to comfort me, don't stress too much. What if the questions are the same as back then? This is the issue we've discussed before, whether this year's What's this secret conversation? Students, care to share with your teacher? Claim benefits pushpin WeChat. QQ no 17973288031. Sujua snorted triumphantly, that's between me and Zhou Xiao. He Mayan scoffed and went back to double-checking the things we needed to bring tomorrow. I looked at Sujua with amusement. After the exams, you'll have to tell me your secret too. I've always had some theories about reincarnation. Examination hall. Seeing the exam paper was indeed different from my past life, and to my surprise, I felt even more exhilarated in that moment. All my efforts were about to be put to the test in this exam, unlike my previous life. where I frantically rushed through the papers in a sweaty panic. This time, I was remarkably composed. It felt like I could clearly see the logic and answers behind every question. All I had to do was calmly transcribe them onto the exam paper. The final bell rang as I handed in my last exam sheet. My heart was at peace, brimming with quiet satisfaction. Outside the exam hall, Suzhua leaned against the wall gasping. Drenched in sweat, standing leisurely in the shade, Himayan watched with amusement. With the exam site being so far away, I doubt Su even finished his paper when he rushed over. The fact that Himayan could snitch on me while smiling like that was downright unbelievable. Bullshit. I finished the damn thing and double-checked before handing it in. I ran all the way here. 20. Suzhua grabbed a bottle of mineral water, poured it over his head, shook it off like a wet dog, and asked with sparkling eyes, "How'd it go? How was the exam?" The questions were super easy this time. Why'd it take you so long to finish? It really was easy. I finished way earlier, but I wanted to stay longer. This second shot at the college entrance exam didn't come easy, and I treasure every moment. The phone rang at 3 a.m. Half asleep, I saw Suzhua spring up from his makeshift bed on the floor. During these months of brutal study sessions, we solved problems, discussed solutions, and repeated the cycle around the clock. When exhaustion hit, I took the narrow bed while Suzhua and Himayan crashed on floor mats. After the exams, Himayan complained his back was killing him and went home to sleep for days. Zhao, quick, Qinghua's admissions office is calling. Suzhua shook me awake. Post-Gaokao. I completely checked out and just wanted to crash. Only Suzhua kept researching Peking Tsinghua admissions online, memorizing both universities' admission hotlines by heart. I answered the phone with sleep still thick in my voice, only to learn they'd already checked my scores and were recommending Tsinghua, second in the entire city. Not bad at all. I'll give it serious thought. Thank you. Hanging up, I met Suzhua's intensely curious gaze. You don't want to go to Tsinghua. Does that mean you won't be with Himayan? Before his face darkened completely, I explained, I choose my university for no one but myself. I want to live my own life, one that isn't shaped by others. And Suzhua, I hope you'll choose the school you truly want, and live your own life too, without changing because of me. Suzhua mumbled hesitantly, but it's only because of you that I study hard. Otherwise, I'd just coast through like my past self, barely scraping into some second-tier college and drifting through each day in a daze. My parents have their own families now and can't be bothered with me. The more money they throw at me, the more absurd it feels. Like cash is all a person needs to exist in this world. It was seeing you, tenacious as weeds pushing through cracked earth, that made me start thinking life might hold something worth living for. Suzhua looked as dejected as a drenched stray dog. I ruffled his unkempt hair. Then go find your own joy in life. You'll discover there's plenty to be had. Don't be afraid, Suzhua. You don't need to follow me, because I'll always be here. Stand firm in your life choices, growing upward like a mighty tree, unshaken by others' opinions. Then, branches intertwine midair, bathed in shared sunlight and weathering the same storms. I shook my head. Ultimately, I chose Peking University for its stronger program fit. Resource group Pushpin WeChat, QQ number 1797328031. Himayan lamented in anguish. Why, is Tsinghua not prestigious enough for you? Suzhua gloated with a smug hum. Isn't it obvious? It's for my sake, so I won't have to constantly watch my back around you. Just as I was about to declare my neutrality, Suzhua gave me a playful nudge with her foot. She whispered coyly, just humor me this once, won't you? Fine, let's save him some face. Himayan was utterly dejected. Still can't be classmates. Huh, didn't work out in high school, and now not even in college. Ugh. Suzhua crossed her arms. What, is being Zhou Zhao's classmate all you care about? Himayan took a frustrated sip of bubble tea. I gave up on that ages ago. With you guarding her like a rabid dog over food, who'd dare make a move? Oh, so you actually considered robbing me? Suzhua's eyes narrowed into slits again. Remember our deal. After I tutor Zhou Zhao into Tsinghua or Peking University, you're eating that gaming chair. Himayan perked up with a gentle smile, patting the chair beneath him. 21. Bon appetit. My heart skipped a beat. He actually remembered, to my surprise. Suzhua didn't even flinch, pulled out the phone and opened an app. Relax, I've already ordered a gaming chair-shaped cake. It'll arrive today. When we said eat the gaming chair, we didn't mean literally, right? That's some next-level trolling right there. Himayan choked back laughter for a long moment before finally grinning. Alright then, Let's consider this a celebration for the three of us. Here's to our bright future. He Mayan got into Tsinghua. I made it to Peking University, while Suzhua landed at his dream top 5 school. We should definitely celebrate this hard-won bright future. Only after my relentless questioning did Suzhua come clean about why we were given this second chance at life. Thankfully, it wasn't some sinister deal like I'd feared. After sitting by the lake for 3 months, he chanced upon rumors of a temple where the enshrined deity was said to work miracles. The man who'd never believed in God's journeyed thousands of miles there, climbing the mountain step by step before kneeling on the prayer cushion for 3 days, whispering just one plea: someone so good deserves better, give her another chance. On the mountain descent, a sudden downpour triggered a mudslide that swept him away. When his eyes reopened, he found himself back in senior year of high school. Then, he spotted me standing at the internet cafe's counter. The gods work in mysterious ways. Buy one get one free, they gave you a second chance. And me a fresh start, Suzhua murmured devoutly, palms pressed together. I silently whispered, thank you, a few times, grateful for this chance to make up for the regrets and missed opportunities from my past life. A few days later, old Yang called to say Grandma came looking for me at school. It's been too long since I've been home, yet I don't miss it at all. Still went to the school to bring Grandma back home. Xiao, is it true they say you got into Peking University? She beamed with a wide smile. They say if you get into Peking University, there's a lot of scholarship money to be had. Is that true? To stay connected, quickly add pushpin WeChat, QQ number 17 *97 *3280 *31. How much could that possibly be? Granny's wrinkles instantly blossomed into a smile. After some thought, I replied, probably around a couple 100,000, just as I expected. Before the bonus even hit our account, Granny and my little brother had already gone on a wild shopping spree. When cash was tight, they'd just activate online loan overdrafts. My brother was quite sharp when it came to that. By the time they found me again, the two of them were already over 100 grand in debt. Hey Xiao, has the bonus come through? We're 2 months behind on bills. Can we pay up this month? There actually came a day when Grandma spoke to me softly, propping my chin in hand. I asked curiously, why should I use my own bonus to pay off your debts? Grandma said matter-of-factly, of course your money should go toward our debts. If you don't pay, the debt collectors will come knocking. I scratched my ear. But I'm not even part of your Zhou family. Why should I care if you live or die? Grandma paused. What do you mean? You are one of our Zhous. I really do. A worthless burden, right? I said with a smile. I really do. Since you've always treated me as dead weight, how could I possibly disappoint you? Don't worry. From now on you won't profit a single cent from me. Despite her fear of Suzhua sitting beside me, Grandma still jumped up in agitation. That shriveled, scrawny body could unleash such a piercing shriek. You ungrateful little brat, got into Peking University and think you're too good for us now. Just wait, I'll expose you online. The whole world will know what a disgraceful daughter you are. My brother chimed in, yeah, we'll post about you everywhere. Let everyone see what you've done. I was absolutely terrified. Quickly grabbed paper and pen, list out all the major platforms one by one, and hand it to him. Don't forget to post everywhere, Jihu included. It's a solid platform. I'd love nothing more than for this to go viral. Then I can finally air every single thing you've done to me over the years. Netizens see everything. Once this blows up, consider us done. You won't squeeze another cent out of me. 22. My brother was about to argue stubbornly, but Grandma pulled him down to sit. Indeed, as a beneficiary of privilege, he remained oblivious to the favoritism he'd received. And Grandma, she too had endured similar deprivation and oppression growing up, now employing those same tactics against me. She knew exactly what she was doing. Let's lay it all out. For over a decade in this household, I've faced nothing but injustice at every turn. Listen now. Your father never treated you poorly, did he? Now that he's gone, shouldn't you take care of us in his place? Grandma switched back to her honeyed tones. How cunning, she knows exactly where to hit me. In the previous life, the one without Suzhua and Himayan, my father remains my most treasured memory, the last tender spot in my heart. Grandma noticed the shift in my expression, and her scheming mind stirred again. Xiao, your brother and I won't squander money anymore. Just cover our debts for now. That loan company your brother found is terrifying. They threaten to send thugs to our door if we don't repay the money. Obviously, these shady lenders that casually hand out six-figure loans specialize in these kinds of intimidation tactics. But then again, what's that got to do with me? How about we write an IOU? That should work, right? Grandma refused to give up. I sighed. Fine, go ahead and write that IOU then. Grandma cheerfully got up to leave when I stopped her, but not to me. Go borrow from relatives, friends, or neighbors, pay back the loan company when you've scraped together enough. We both know that once you owe me, you'll never pay it back. In the end, I saved Grandma's bank account details and promised to transfer small amounts regularly. I planned to send her that 100,000 yuan over 10 years, after all. She's been carefully managing every penny to take care of me since Dad passed away. Don't lose or change that card, or the money won't go through, I reminded before leaving. Granny hissed through clenched teeth. How cruel, you heartless wretch. Gazing at this place I'd lived in for over a decade yet still felt alien, I chuckled dryly. I suppose I should thank you for raising me to be so well-behaved. I changed all my contact details to ensure neither my grandmother nor brother could ever find me again, finally breaking free from the family nightmare. The place that should have been my sanctuary gave me life but denied me basic dignity, a cruelty that cuts deeper than anything. If that's how it is, I'll walk away with my head held high. September arrived with the first whispers of autumn wind, the sun still blazing fiercely. Stepping through Peking University's gates, after a brief daze, I did what I always do first, inquire about student loans. Suzhua dragged the luggage while grumbling. What's the big deal? I could have just paid this measly tuition for you. Junior year, I foolishly believed my boyfriend's sweet talk about marrying our first love, and gave him everything precious I had. Jang Yu, how is this a debt between us? Who keeps score? He stopped dead in his tracks, fuming. I had no choice. I stepped back and poked his cheek. Between us, it's always been you and me. He turned his face away, avoiding my touch. Suzhua, I want to love you freely and as equals. Will you give me this chance? I looked up and asked earnestly. He finally turned his face toward me, his frantic gaze sweeping over me as he struggled to catch his breath. Swallowing hard, he pressed his lips together and forced out the words, no. I was completely stunned. That was the last response I'd expected. Suzhua grabbed my hand, his fingers trembling slightly. No. I have to be the one to confess. You can't steal my moment. I was speechless yet amused. Fine then, you do the confessing. I won't steal your thunder. No way, that's way too casual. Suzhua was practically frantic. I plan to confess on your birthday. Everything's ready. I watched his face flicker between excitement, anxiety, and this pitiful pout, suddenly remembering his old bad boy at school swagger. What a trip down memory lane. Suzhua, oh Suzhua. Did you ever imagine this day would come when you sat by the lake every day in our past life calling me a dumbass? Alright, I won't push you, but can you give me a little treat in advance? I asked. Under his puzzled gaze, I rose on tiptoe and leaned in. He remained frozen, instinctively bending down, and so, I pressed a gentle kiss upon his forehead. How glorious, this scorching sun, this fiery youth I'll forever cherish.